Baby, let's see how fast this all black Silverado goes. And how many miles is it gonna take to get away from you? You're breaking on the camel's heart. You got me drinking at a downtown bar. I'm overthinking, getting too damn drunk, and that's what I get for falling too in love. Remember that back road, baby. Remember them stars in the sky. Remember that tailgate we were sitting on when you looked me in the eye. I remember those backwoods, baby. We would roll them up and get high. Said we'd stay here and plant roots till you and I die. Guess I'm just learning how to let it go, go. Guess I'm just learning how to live alone, alone. It's hard for me to take it slow, slow, slow. So, baby, let's see how fast this all black Silverado goes. And how many miles is it gonna take to get away from you? You're breaking on the camel's heart. You got me drinking at a downtown bar. I'm overthinking, getting too damn drunk, and that's what I get for falling too in love. I don't think you can. I'm putting my heart on ice and cold beer. Baby girl, it's no fair. Baby girl, it's no fair. It's all your fault and you know it. This shit is driving me insane. I saw this truck parked in your driveway at your place. Now I'm packing all my things trying to get away. Baby, let's see how fast this all black Silverado goes. And how many miles is it gonna take to get away from you? You're breaking on the camel's heart. You got me drinking at a downtown bar. I'm overthinking, getting too damn drunk, and that's what I get for falling too in love.
The summer day when I proposed, I made that wedding ring from dentist gold. And I asked her father, but her daddy said no. You can marry my daughter. She and I went on the run, don't care about religion. I'm gonna marry the woman I love, down by the Wexford Road. She was Nancy Mulligan and I was William Shearer. She took my name and then we were one, down by the Wexford Road.
Black hair over 60 years, I've been loving her. Now we're sat by the fire in an old armchairs. You know Nancy, I adore you.
From a farm boy born near Belfast town, I never worry about the king and crown, cause I found my heart up on the southern ground. There's no difference, I assure you. She and I went on the run, don't care about religion. I'm gonna marry the woman I love, down by the Wexford border. She was Nancy Mulligan and I was William Shearer. She took my name and then we were one, down by the Wexford border. She took my name and then we were one, down by the Wexford border.
R&D's, Theodore Grams, yeah. Every day I'll be a bad day for you. That's right. We used to be so strong. Back then we was right, now we so wrong. She was Beyonce, I could've got my Hove on. And when she hang up on me, I tell her, hold on, quit that shit. I don't use force, today is a bad day. We've been divorced, what I think about stress, I don't really need it. But this is plagiarism, cause my shorty just cheated, and shorty conceded. She out of her mind, I wish she had me in the car get declined. She at school with no AIDS, no HIV. Hope you don't get in the club with that fake ID. Why would you hurt somebody that you called your man for? And I hope you get evicted by your landlord. But she be messing with me, and I'm hoping she lose my number indefinitely. So every day ought to be a bad day for you. Yeah. Every day ought to be a bad day for you. That's right.
I guess you can't remember all the times that I was there. Your emotions on a roller coaster, no fun fair. You were happy on the phone, but hate me when I come there. That phone down to a drum snare. Yeah, just like that. I hope you go deaf so you can't hear shit. Yeah, I hope you go blind, cause you look me in my face and you laugh when I cry.
You should wonder why your apartment is always so empty. Maybe you should wonder that. I hope you get locked out of that apartment. I have to call Jenny. Oh! I hope you get locked out. Cause every day ought to be a bad day for you.
Hello, good morning. It's 8 o'clock. Let's get down to business. My name is Grant Svendelis. How are you all doing? Good to see you all. We've had quite a night. I just wanted to broadcast a regulatory hearing today at 10. I thought I would read a little letter from the OIG, go on a little rant about, sub-regulatory guidance documents, corruption, all this missing money within the agency, various other things that I'm mad about, abuse of female staff members, cover-ups, the OIG letter going missing from the OIG's website, years and years of history, etc., etc. I thought I would just come on and rant about that and broadcast a regulatory hearing. What a lull of a day for Towel. But no, of course, things have gone to hell in a handbasket. Now, I still fully intend, good morning, by the way, this is Towel News, it's just past 8 a.m. here in Boston, where I fully intend, Grant Smith Ellis, your wonderful host, to broadcast the 10 a.m. Massachusetts CCC meeting, because some people will want to watch that. But before that, you're going to get 2 hours of Towel covering the ridiculous developments overnight. Now, as I mentioned, it's 8 a.m. here in Boston, East Coast time in the United States. It is 2 p.m. in South Africa, 3 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 3:30 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Hello, Doc Swatson, Standing Stones, Kim, and so many other friends. It's so good to see you. Motorhead had to leave. They're a little bit mad because, Bibi Netanyahu's causing a lot of problems in the world. And when you critique Benjamin Netanyahu, because he invokes, the entire Jewish religion, I am half Jewish myself, people get a little frustrated. But the point is, Benjamin Netanyahu has lost his mind. But before we get to the bombing of Beirut that occurred 30 minutes ago, that is just absolutely outrageous. The first time during the ceasefire, Iran's red line was that Israel was not to bomb Beirut. They bombed Beirut. They're out of their mind. But we can't even get there because we have to talk about what happened in Kuwait and the south of Iran overnight. Now, so about 9 hours ago, hello, Hilshaya. Thank you so much for those jewels. I needed that energy this morning, and I'm rearing and ready to go. So, at about 10 p.m. last night, your venerated Towel host was sleeping. At about 10 p.m. Eastern last night, which is 5 in the morning or so, in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. tried to turn transponders off on some ships and get them through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Iran, as you know, is in charge of the Strait of Hormuz, along with Oman. Iran does not let ships without their permission go through the Strait of Hormuz. America, in a bit of a weird move, blockaded Iran's blockade. But America's blockade applies to ships going to Iranian ports. So just so we're on the same page, Iran is in charge of which ships go through the Strait of Hormuz. It allows 35 through a day, mostly from Pakistan, or going to Pakistan, or from Iraq, or going to Iraq, or going to China, or from China. Those are the ships that can get through the Strait of Hormuz. Separate from that, America has a blockade of the blockade, that doesn't allow ships to go to Iran. But the Strait of Hormuz also has ships that go to the north of the Persian Gulf, which is Basra, a Penne exclave, as you know, between Iran to the east and Kuwait to the west and Iraq to the north. That's why it's a Penne exclave, because technically it's surrounded by two different countries on one side, its own country on one side, and water on the other, which is the Persian Gulf. Anyway, then you also got Saudi Arabia, you got Bahrain, you got Qatar, and of course the UAE, all with key access routes. Now, the United States only gets about 2% of its oil from the Strait of Hormuz, but other countries like China get like 10% of their yearly, maybe monthly oil consumption from the Strait of Hormuz. And it's also a different kind of oil. The oil that flows out of the Persian Gulf is a lighter type of oil than like the crude that comes from Venezuela. It's very complicated. They're all interrelated. You need the light oil to cut the crude oil to move more than 7 million gallons a day from Venezuela to the U.S. It's a long story, but the point is, it's also just better oil. It's easier to move, the Iranian oil. Anyway, and the Saudi oil, and the Qatari oil, and the Kuwaiti oil, and the Bahraini oil. But the point is, last night, these ships attempted to violate the Iranian blockade. They tried to do it by turning off their, what are called transponders, and then with an escort of U.S. ships go through. We're back. Hello, I'm back. I had a slight frame drop. So Iran bombs the commercial ship going through the Strait of Hormuz. We had a slight frame drop there. So we're picking up with Iran bombing the commercial ship going through the Strait of Hormuz about maybe 12 hours ago. While they're doing this, they're launching waves of drones at the ship, okay? And on the sixth wave of drones, America, to stop the next wave, bombs Bandar Abbas, where the Iranian counter ship or Iranian launch positions, if you want to call them that, were located. Iran, now this has happened before, there were slight skirmishes, but Iran today did something that was very, very, very different. They immediately bombed Kuwait. Immediately. Within seconds of this happening, Iran bombed Kuwait. Now, how do I know Iran bombed Kuwait? One, because the IRGC put out a statement claiming the attack. And second, they put out one of their videos with the song. We're going to play it now. They put out a video with a song within like 3 hours. It says they put a sticker, and they put another sticker you're going to see, and they actually did a launch. Please be aware, this could be quite loud. Especially at the end. If you're just tuning in, it's going to be a loud morning. I thought Iran doesn't have any missiles left. Or launchers. No, this is going to pop off. And then immediately after this, Israel bombed Beirut. I couldn't believe it. I was honestly shocked. I could not believe that they went there. Iran's red line, it was 2 red lines actually, but the most important one is no bombing Beirut. You have to understand the history of the conflict in southern Lebanon to understand what are called rules of engagement. Hezbollah and Israel have been fighting since basically the PLO was expelled from Jordan and Syria in maybe like 67 or 68, 69. Come like 79, 80, 81, 82, Hezbollah is like pledging its loyalty to the new Iranian revolutionary government in Tehran. All right, and Hezbollah has been fighting in southern Lebanon. There's like 55 communities there. 3 of them are Catholic Maronite. 52 of them are Shia, like Hezbollah strongholds. Hezbollah and Israel have been fighting there for decades. They fought from 79 to 82. They fought there in 2006. They fought there in 2023. They fought there in 2024. There's been a very weird Zenakador with Al Jazeera, who's probably the primary expert in the area, refers to these as rules of engagement. It's this weird unspoken thing where, like, Israel only bombs certain areas in the south of Lebanon, And then Hezbollah only will bomb certain areas in the north of Lebanon, in the north of Israel. If Israel goes north of certain areas in Lebanon, then Hezbollah, it can and will bomb south of certain areas in Israel. And then you're talking about south of Neratanya. So you're talking about Haifa, which is the northernmost populated city in Israel, then Tel Aviv, which is in central Israel, and then Hezbollah has never struck south of Tel Aviv, but they do have rockets that from Iran that can go from South Lebanon to Tel Aviv. Now, furthermore, last night, Israel issued a mandatory evacuation order for every town south of the Zarahani River. It's not the Litani River. It's about 5 kilometers south of that, the Zarahani River in the south of Lebanon. They have not done that since the ceasefire was agreed. There's this very South Lebanon is the reason primarily, along with the Strait of Hormuz, although I think that's easier to resolve, why this U.S.-Iran war is just in this intractable stalemate. It does have a little bit to do with the domestic geopolitical constellation of Israel, with, of course, the Knesset voting within the next 90 days on 3 readings of a bill that will dissolve itself, call for early elections, which should see Benjamin Netanyahu's government fall. It's a coalition government. It's a parliamentary democracy, so you have to just build a coalition to get a majority of seats to survive a no-confidence vote in the Parliament of Israel. That government is going to fall in the elections in October to the Change Coalition, because the Change Coalition has the support of a unified Arab bloc within the Knesset. So you add the Change Coalition's votes plus like 13 to 15 Arab Party votes. They don't even need all 17. 2 of the seats are probably going to get eradicated or obviated because Netanyahu wants to declare one of the Arab parties a terrorist organization to prevent them from joining the Change Coalition in that parliamentary sort of block to unseat Netanyahu. And this, of course, all ties back further to a ruling in 2023 from the Israeli Supreme Court, which said that Benjamin Netanyahu can't really go to jail while he's serving prime minister, and he's on trial right now for cases 8001, 8002, and 8004 in Jerusalem Superior or District Court, which have to do with corruption allegations, pay for play in the media, his wife getting furniture, like some weird deals with like websites, Walla and this other one. It's strange, like for favorable coverage, attacking rivals, all this weird pay for play stuff. It's not a good, he's not going to make it through that trial without a guilty verdict. So in my opinion, the reason why the United States was baited into this intractable conflict, which is really a Thucydides escalation trap, with the Iranians was because Benjamin Netanyahu selfishly put his own interests above those of the Jewish state, above those of the United States, above those of the Gulf countries, above the Abrams Accord, really, even above world stability, and dragged the world into global conflict in an attempt to preserve his own place within the political power structure of Israel. It's not going to work. It failed. And now, the most ironic part is after losing the conflict with no regime change in Iran, no reduction in ballistic missile capabilities. I bet Iran already has the nuke, frankly. If they haven't already enriched it, I bet they got it from someone else. Just utter failure of everything Netanyahu had been preaching for 20 years, which was that Israel and the U.S., with its military might, with their collective military might, could provide a security blanket for the Middle East and simultaneously ward off the usurpation, or the attacks by Iran. It failed. We watched it on this stream. It failed for 40 days in a row and 40 nights. The people of Israel lived under constant warnings. They got no sleep and they were bombed routinely. There was nothing the U.S. could do. There was nothing Israel could do, frankly. So the U.S. is talking as if they won the conflict. Israel, the leadership is a little delusional. They always just talk as if the world's their oyster, so you don't really listen to them. But the U.S. is not talking in line with the geopolitical reality on the ground, and it's causing there to be mass death in Lebanon, which eventually will lead to IRGC retaliation, because Hezbollah, the main defenders of the civilian population of Israel, of Lebanon, because the Lebanese army is completely inefficient and ineffectual, and basically captured by Israel at this point, and does not respond to Israel's attacks at all, because the Lebanese government is the first in like 2 or 3 decades to actually like oppose Hezbollah. Anyway, it's complicated. The president, Joseph Aoun, was trying to have meetings in Washington with Israel to settle this at the State Department, but you can't really you can't have negotiations where one of the parties, namely Hezbollah, is not even at the table, so those went nowhere. Israel's bombing of Beirut within the last hour is a massive wild card. Iran drew a red line. Their position in the region as a guarantor or security blanket, it was tested 45 minutes ago, and Hezbollah and Iran's response will telegraph to the rest of the countries in the region whether Iran was serious about its red line or whether they're going to capitulate in the face of Israeli aggression. Iran and the U.S. have to be careful about an escalation trap, but at this point, if the U.S. is going to passively sit back while Israel violates every red line that President Trump enforced against Netanyahu and the Iranians enforced, then what's the point? They're a rogue state. The Benjamin Netanyahu's government is a rogue state that is unanswerable to its allies, its funders, the U.S. taxpayers, the Israeli taxpayers. It's a completely rogue regime that's going to act whether or not anyone tells them otherwise. And the only thing Benjamin Netanyahu seems to understand is force, which he in turn uses, using civilians to provide cover, as they are the ones who will end up inevitably suffering at the hands of this absurd policy by that government. So that's my opinion. It's a very serious situation. Is there any proof that Netanyahu is alive? Yes, he has done multiple press conferences, multiple interviews. He is alive. He does have cancer, though. That's what they were hiding. He was treated twice in 2024 and 2025, one in each year for prostate cancer, and they hid it from the public. He looks terrible. He did an interview with 60 Minutes last week. He looked horrible. He was sullen, swollen. His eyes were puffy and red. He was incoherent in some of his arguments, and the interviewer just dominated him. All right, let me update you. So this all started last night, as I mentioned, with the forced evacuation order. For the first time during the ceasefire of southern Lebanon, every town south of the Larahani River, which is not the Litani River, it's actually south. It's still a substantial amount of the area of Lebanon. If you take a look at the map behind my head, we're talking about a forced evacuation order, basically to Nabatayeth. Okay, that's a lot, maybe a little bit south of that. So that's the border between Israel and Lebanon right here. Oh, thank you so much, Edric. God bless you for that marshmallow hello. I love it. It's wonderful. Needed those jewels today. God bless you, my dear friend. Jewels are always so empowering. They send wonderful positive energy. But there was a forced evacuation order, including the city of Sur in Arabic, or Tyre, the ancient city of Tyre, in the south of Lebanon. The forced evacuation went up to about here, Der Kanun. That's the Zirahani River. The Litani River is a little bit north of that. So a lot of communities were impacted. Israel's trying to push up. This is what they were doing during the active war. They're trying to push up into southern Lebanon. Okay, they want to conquer all of these communities. They actually want to bomb out all the buildings, and then it's called scorched earth. They want to bomb all the buildings away, and then they want to conquer the territory. That's not going to happen. There is not Iran, not Hezbollah, not the international community. No one's letting Israel's borders go anywhere beyond that blue line. But that's what Israel wants to accomplish, which is why it issued another mandatory evacuation order. Israel's cornered Iran into acting. There's no way out of this situation at this point. Benjamin Netanyahu is attempting to, he forced all of the civilians, probably in a 5-kilometer line north of the border between Israel and Lebanon, behind my head there, up to Sur, maybe north, to evacuate their homes with like an hour's notice last night. And then he started bombing them. I'm going to take you through that. We have about 2 hours before this governmental hearing starts. I need to spend about 30 minutes, so about 9:30 a.m. I got to talk about this 2024 OIG letter that I can't find on the OIG website anymore. And I think the new commissioners probably need to know about this OIG letter. It's this one. I have the full PDF. It's about this governmental regulatory agency. There's been some changeover. There was a change to the statute. The new commissioners are starting up for the first time today. Our schedule for today is you have me till like 10 o'clock. Then we're going to watch the hearing. Then I'm going to end the stream. Then I got to go to a press conference. I got to talk to the government. Then after I talk to the government, I'm going to spend some time with Towel Girlfriend, barring the world descending into chaos and bombs raining down on people, because that's what I would like to do today. So that's our schedule, all right? You got me for at least 2 hours, so buckle up, let's go. Hello, Triplet Bob, I am a towel. Hello, Interpret Towel, how are you doing? God bless the people of southern Lebanon. I'm explaining the wider geopolitical context of Benjamin Netanyahu's not madman theory, but madman actions in the south of Lebanon to the detriment of the entire world, not just the Middle East, not just the Gulf countries, but the world itself, I do say. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you very much for being here. Yes, or I know that after going through those damn files, I had to stop researching the Epstein files after the doggy video. I couldn't do it. It broke me. Even though it was censored, it was the worst thing I had ever come across in my life. I'm traumatized. So speaking of those attacks last night, let me take you right back to southern Lebanon, the city of Sor, which was raided to the ground. It was not razed, but it was raided to the point where there is mass destruction and death across the entire city of Sor, the ancient city of Sor. Here is footage from last night. God bless you, Interpret Towel. That is my sacred duty to just show the reality. This is Sor last night. And I'm sorry to tell you that the destruction is not limited to just that. This is more scenes from, I believe, Sor or Nabatayeth. I think it's actually Sor. Let me show you now. Hello, got manners. We have a serious situation as Beirut in the last hour has been bombed for the first time during the ceasefire. The IRGC put out a statement confirming, as I mentioned, the retaliatory strike that they engaged in on Kuwait. You can see Kuwait put out a statement confirming that they were attacked last night. It was exactly 9 hours ago, 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time, which would be like 6 in the morning or so in Kuwait. Now, here's a video from inside Iran of the missile launched towards Kuwait, and they hit an American base. I don't know if the missile was intercepted. There are reports that the missile was intercepted. I don't buy anybody's statements about anything, because all they do, both sides during the war, is talk about things that are good for their side and lie about things that are bad for their side. But the point is, this is the missile you're looking at it on your screen right now, which was fired about 9 hours ago from Iranian positions towards an American base in Kuwait. It's unclear if the missile was intercepted, although that's what the Kuwaitis claim. Then again, the Kuwaitis also claimed a bunch of different nonsense about the American jets that were initially shot down. That's called the fog of war. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I'll show you now the latest footage coming out of Iran of the missile that was launched at U.S. military positions, for which there has been no response of any kind by the Americans. This was about 9 hours ago. That's footage from inside Iran of the missile that was launched at American military bases, or an American military base in Kuwait just 9 hours ago. There has been no response by the U.S. military. Zero response. I'm not so sure that we have an active peace discussion, folks. I think we've been lied to. I don't know if this whole discussion of peace was ever real. I think we were hoodwinked. I'm disturbed. The Iranians immediately fired at the American base in Kuwait last night, and they succeeded. I don't know if the interceptor got to the missile, but they certainly got the missile out of their territory, and there's primary source proof of it. This is the statement from the IRGC. This is the statement that they issued 4 hours ago after last night's attacks.
Conversation. Urgent. Statement from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In the name of God, the subduer of tyrants. Whoever fights you, fight them back with the same measure they fought you with. In the wake of the attack launched by the U.S. Army at dawn on a point located on the outskirts of Bandar Abbas Airport, the U.S. airbase from which the attack was launched was targeted with airstrikes at 4:50 a.m. This response serves as a serious warning so that the enemy knows that aggression will not go unanswered, and if repeated, our response will be more decisive. The responsibility for the consequences lies with the aggressor. And victory comes only from God, the mighty, the wise.
Thank you. Now I'm going to show you the Iranian, the spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry, his remarks with English subtitles about last night's developments. This is the Iranian spokesman for the Foreign Ministry commenting on last night's attacks.
اقدامی که دیشب انجام شد هم نقض فاحش حقوق بین الملل منشور سازمان ملل بود و هم نقض آتش بس اولین بار هم نبود و البته اطلاع دارید که مدافعین کشور سیلی بزرگی بهشون زدن با تمام توان دفع کردن شرارتشون. بنابراین همزمان که ما در وضعیت حسمی آتش بس قرار داریم، نیروهای مسلح ما با تمام توان هم آمادگی دارن و هم با دقت رصد میکنن هر جا هم که لازم باشه با تمام توان. ما توی بیانیه‌مون اشاره کردیم که شرارتشون دفع شده. با محکم جواب دادیم. کماکان موضوع در دست بررسی است. هر وقت به نتیجه نهایی رسیدیم حتما اعلام خواهیم کرد خدمتتون.
All right, I'm going to play this again on full screen for you. That man just said that the Iranian army slapped the American military in the face in response to what happened last night. Let's listen to this again with English captions.
خب اقدامی که دیشب انجام شد هم نقض فاحش حقوق بین الملل منشور سازمان ملل بود و هم نقض آتش بس اولین بار هم نبود و البته اطلاع دارید که مدافعین کشور سیلی بزرگی بهشون زدن با تمام توان دفع کردن شرارتشون. بنابراین همزمان که ما در وضعیت حسمی آتش بس قرار داریم، نیروهای مسلح ما با تمام توان هم آمادگی دارن و هم با دقت رصد میکنن هر جا هم که لازم باشه با تمام توان. ما توی بیانیه‌مون اشاره کردیم که شرارتشون دفع شده. با محکم جواب دادیم. کماکان موضوع در دست بررسی است. هر وقت به نتیجه نهایی رسیدیم حتما اعلام خواهیم کرد خدمتتون. خیلی متشکرم.
That's the latest from the spokesman for the Iranian foreign minister, basically saying that they responded firmly. Now, our dear friend Adam lets us know that the missile fired by Iran at American troops, thank God, was reportedly intercepted, and there was no strike on the base. Notwithstanding that, I'm very concerned because immediately after that, as I mentioned to you all just a few minutes ago, Israel struck Beirut for the first time in over a month. This is after the forced evacuation. Just look what happened to Nabatayeth overnight. The city in South Lebanon, this was before the strike on Beirut. Look at what this morning in South Lebanon looks like. The city is almost razed to the ground. This is Nabatayeth in South Lebanon. This is a drive through the city of Nabatayeth after last night's raids. Since the ceasefire started, I thought I had seen escalating levels of attacks, but this is on another level. The city was nearly destroyed. Oh, this is Interpretal's family's town. I can only imagine how heartbreaking this is. The civilians of South Lebanon do not deserve this. Frankly, the only people trying to stand up for them are Hezbollah. There's no one other than the Pope who's been doing his best, but he doesn't really have a military. Other than Hezbollah, no one is protecting these people. The French president kind of says some things time to time. The Spanish get a little mad. But no one's actually protecting the civilians. And Hezbollah doesn't have the means to fully repel the Israeli army, frankly. Hezbollah can hold off the ground troops of the Israeli army, but with guerrilla tactics, but they cannot stop the bombings. These are air bombs. These are air raids. Almost everything you're seeing is air raids from jets or drones. And Iran does have the capacity to give Hezbollah weapons that can stop these missiles, but Iran hasn't given them permission to really launch them yet. There's been a little anti-aircraft activity from Hezbollah. You see videos of it because it's very obvious. Anti-aircraft activity is it's like tracer rounds. So they're lit up bullets, lit up mortar rounds, basically, that the military uses to protect civilians and military targets from missiles. And Hezbollah has that capacity, but it only uses it with Iran's permission. Hezbollah also only attacks civilian infrastructure in Israel, basically with Iran's permission. Translator Tal says for centuries their family's been there, and she doesn't know if they'll be able to go back. She says there's no need for this cruelty to anyone for any reason. I agree. And what's so frustrating is Israel would just be doing this. They have been trying to, as people from the area will know well, ethnically cleanse, or the word is scorched earth in military parlance, which Israel will openly admit to, all of the civilian homes in southern Lebanon for 30 or 40 years. The only people, by the way, the reason Hezbollah is called the resistance is in 2006 when these sides tried to negotiate an end to this to stop Israeli aggression in the north of Israel, south of Lebanon. Hezbollah was recognized as like the formal resistance entity against Israeli attempts to attack the south. So Hezbollah is recognized as a resistance movement, formally in an international agreement. And the problem is Israel tries to delegitimize Hezbollah by calling them terrorists, and then Hezbollah responds by calling the IDF terrorists, and then both sides refuse to talk to each other, which it makes it completely, and really, no, it's actually the clouds outside, but still, notwithstanding the clouds, you cannot stop the towel signal. It's a nice day here, but sometimes the clouds interfere with my towel internet. Hello, I'm back. So my point is, you can't really absolve Israel of blame here, because the only reason there is continued fighting in southern Lebanon is the current government of Israel refuses to stop attacking and basically demolishing civilian homes. That's the reality on the ground. Hello, Mike Johnson. Yes, I think Cuba and Moldova and Belarus could all get very interesting. Good morning, most talkative. It's so good to see you. Hello, Pick a Handle. How are you doing? But listen, I don't like the fog of war that comes with what Israel's doing in southern Lebanon. I don't like how Israel talks. I don't like how the government of Israel talks about it. I don't like the forced displacement orders. I don't like the bombings. And then I really don't like when Hezbollah responds, Israel blaming Hezbollah for further attacks. That's the kind of manipulative propaganda that gets me really mad. And I'll call it out on all sides. I don't care who does it. I called the Iranians out when they bombed the West Bank and when they bombed that village to the east, to the west of Nazareth. I called them out. I did. I absolutely did. So my point is, I just don't like when people lie. You want to bomb civilians, you want to level their homes, you want to engage in ethnic cleansing, then own up to it and say it. You know why they won't? Because nobody would support them. Entirely understood, most talkative. We're talking about South Lebanon. Overnight there was an extreme escalation. It actually led to 3 intertwined events occurring. First, a forced evacuation of all the towns south of the Zirahani River, which is south of the Litani. So a lot of towns in southern Lebanon, a forced evacuation. Immediately after that, there was serious bombing of the ancient city of Sur, or Tyre, basically nearly leveling it, not to mention Nabatayeth. The only section of the city of Sur that was saved was the old city, the Christian quarter. Then there was a conflict about 3 hours after that between the U.S. and Iran that resulted in exchanges of missiles, including the U.S. striking Bandar Abbas and then Iran firing missiles at Kuwait, which were at a U.S. base. Those missiles were reportedly intercepted. Then, within 1 hour, last hour, or 2 hours, which I haven't even gotten to yet, Israel bombed Beirut for the first time during the ceasefire. All of these things, I believe, are related, and I think we're looking at a potential drastic escalation. I do agree with you. Pick a handle. It is a very, very intense situation for the civilian population of southern Lebanon. 1 million or so of those people, and our goats, of course, were displaced at the beginning of this war, at the end of February, of course, and they just returned to their homes a month ago when the ceasefire was announced, thinking they were safe. Now they've all been displaced again. There's a humanitarian crisis growing in Lebanon. This is going exactly back down the path that we were at 70, 80, 90 days ago. Nothing has been accomplished. If anything, the IRGC is only more firmly cemented in control of Iran. Hezbollah is more firmly cemented in control of the military apparatus within Lebanon. And the Iraqi militias, the Blood Guardians, and the Houthis near the Bab al-Mandab Strait, and the Iranians are all ready to go at a moment's notice in order to retaliate against any military movement by the U.S. or Israel. So I don't frankly know what we're doing here anymore. They should just be fighting. I hate everything about this, because the state that they're in right now, this just nonsensical, consistent pattern of lies, makes it worse. Because people are still being displaced, the humanitarian crisis is still occurring, the bombs are still falling. Meanwhile, the rhetoric from the combatants is, well, we're going to work towards resolving this, which is worse. It's Kafkaesque, it's the Ministry of Truth, it's doublespeak, and I loathe it. Thus, I will show you what's actually happening. Until these combatants actually start talking to each other or speaking about the reality on the ground. I agree with you, Interpret Towel. Netanyahu is definitely at the center of a lot of this. Now, let me show you the bombing that just occurred in Beirut. I'll show you the aftermath and then the strike. This is Beirut about an hour ago. This was the family home of the commander of Hezbollah's missile forces. You can almost guarantee yourself that there will be a strike on Haifa or Tel Aviv in response to this. It was completely over the line. It killed civilians. It was a residential building with no warning in the middle of the Lebanese capital. I can't believe... frankly, I cannot believe it has gotten back to this point. It's almost... It was all of this has been for nothing. From a Western perspective, we have gone backwards in terms of our tactical strategic objectives. From a civilian perspective, things are worse now than they were before the war. From a Gulf country perspective, Iran is coming out to be the dominant force. And what does that mean? What is Iran going to do, whether by proxy or directly, after Israel misbehaves? Are they going to go to the U.S. and tell Mr. President Trump to get Bibi in line? No, they're going to attack Israel. It's absurd. Hello, Fear 3 Norm. It's so good to see you. We've created this, unlike other conflicts, where there was, you could at least argue, whether subversive or otherwise, there was legitimate objectives that the various sides were hoping to achieve. This is like a battle for the fate of the geopolitical orientation of the world, and nobody, I believe, on the Western side of things actually has a grand unifying vision as to what to do. Their only plan is to win and reassert like the Monroe Doctrine and like some kind of modern Middle Eastern like Monroe Doctrine, some like corollary. What happens if you lose? Do you have a plan if Iran becomes the fourth axis in like the modern geopolitical orientation? The BRICS, the US, Iran, and then I don't even know what the fourth one would be. Russia. Well, Russia's part of the BRICS. There is a fourth one in there. I'll have to think more about that. But my point remains the same. Is that what the outcome is going to be? And if so, what does the U.S. even have planned in that situation? They're not acting like they have a plan. Hello, Hilshea. It's so good to see you. Let me show you the actual strike on Beirut itself. As you can tell, I'm very, very upset about this. I'm quite upset. Because this is the one thing Iran will consider a violation of their red line. Hello, Jamel Baptiste. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're getting caught up on a very serious Israeli strike in the Lebanese capital, a little south of the center of Beirut, but it's very, very north into Lebanese territory. When I say this is in the south of Beirut, you almost understand. This is the border between Lebanon and Israel right here. That's Sor. We were just talking about Sor. That's Nabatayeth. That's where Interpretal's family's from. That's the south. Sidon is about halfway from the border, which starts at Nakura, okay, to Beirut. Beirut is way up here in Lebanon. Israel just bombed in the Five Wings neighborhood about 15 kilometers, so 7 miles, to the south of the center of Beirut. So I'm not when I say to the south of Beirut, I'm not talking about sort of some like obscure like village to the south of Beirut in the hillsides. I'm talking about in the city, just to the south of it in what's called the Five Wings neighborhood. Okay, are we all on the same page? Damn right, Interpretal. The mutual combat, I think it's legal in Portland. Now, I don't condone that, but for some reason the city of Portland does. It's a law there. I can't speak for them. They allow mutual combat. Why? I don't know. You'd have to talk to the city of Portland. Let me take you now to the Five Wings neighborhood of Beirut, which was just struck without any warning by a extremely large Israeli missile. It's unclear if it came from a drone or a warplane. I'll find more information. I would suspect a drone. I didn't hear any reports of warplanes in the area before this or after. We'll find out as soon as I can. There are multiple people dead. The impact report has not come out with a formal casualty list. There are multiple people dead and multiple people injured, and more than one of them are civilians. Hello, AJS. Hello to all the wonderful friends in Australia. We love our Australian towel friends. God bless you, and welcome to today's coverage on Towel News, where I'm giving you the latest pictures within the last hour from the Five Wings neighborhood of southern Beirut, where an Israeli drone or warplane has just struck with no warning in a civilian area of the Lebanese capital for the first time during a tenuously holding ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Let's take a look. Children screaming. That's heartbreaking. This is southern Beirut now. Maybe an hour ago, maybe less. This was the result of the attack on Beirut. It occurred just 45 minutes ago. You are looking at the result of the attack on Beirut. Let me show you the strike itself now. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. You are watching Towel News. We have a very serious potential of escalation here. Very serious indeed. I will show you now the latest images from that attack. I showed you the on the ground. There's also been another forced evacuation order. I will bring that to you in 1 second. Here are images of the strike on South Beirut. This was a daytime strike that occurred less than 1 hour ago in the middle of the day in a civilian area of Beirut. You are looking now at pictures from the Lebanese capital less than an hour ago. It was jets. I'm hearing that it was fighter jets. I'm hearing that it was fighter jets from Israel that launched this strike. This is the first time. Now, this is an update for you. Within 45 minutes of that, literally 45 minutes, the following evacuation order was issued by the IDF to South Lebanon.
Conversation. Urgent warning to residents of Lebanon located in the following towns and villages: Habush, Kafr Kila, Sama, Ankana, Nabatieh al-Tata, Kafr Riman. In light of the terrorist Hezbollah's violation of the ceasefire agreement, the Defense Army is compelled to act against it forcefully. The Defense Army does not intend to harm you. To ensure your safety, you must evacuate your homes immediately and move north of the Zahrani River. Anyone present near Hezbollah elements, their facilities, and their combat means is endangering their life.
Okay, so that was the Israeli army. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. This is, Jermel, you are 100% on the ball. There's been a drastic escalation. This week has definitely been, if you've been watching this stream, I've been seeing more and more drone and missile alerts, more and more attacks by Israel on South Lebanon, more and more responses by Hezbollah, and I was on edge, I was on alert. I don't know, we are on the brink here. If there were a clock, a doomsday clock for this war, we are at 11:59:58. This is as America has just let a launch of missiles at its bases go unanswered. Iran, for their part, is now staring down an attack on Beirut that they said cannot happen, and they have not responded. Edric says the revolution will not be televised. It starts with us in our minds and consciousness. That feeling we are all get in our gut when we watch what's unfolded all over the world and we know we got to change it. Yes, and when we realize it's being hidden from us, but we see the reality. Here's the footage of that fighter jet attacking the southern suburbs of Beirut. Again, that's the moment that the warplane struck in Beirut. Taking you to footage released in the last hour by Hezbollah now. This is released today, but it's from May 23rd, so 5 days ago, of a drone operator striking an RPS drone radar made by Radar Technologies at the Nimr al-Jamal site opposite of Alma al-Shabaab. Notably, the entire base appears to be covered in drone netting, notes Barry with the Ned. Let's take a look. This is from Hezbollah, southern Lebanon, released within the last hour, depicting an attack on May 23rd, 2026. Well, and that's certainly footage of Hezbollah using a drone to strike Israeli army positions, drone detection positions, in fact, in the north. Let me take you through a little bit else. Let me take you through a little bit more. It was a chaotic 9 hours. That was chaos. It was a lot of chaos. Here is footage, I believe, from Bandar Abbas last night in Iran. This is... Hello, I'm back. Slight frame drop there. We have occasional frame drops now. I have a very good internet, but it has some frame drops. If you ever get a frame drop, it will never last for more than 10 seconds. Hello, Docs Watson. Hello, Ruby. It's so good to see you. I'm going to show you footage now that things are stabilized from Bandar Abbas in Iran last night during the American attack on the southern Iranian port city. This is from Bandar Abbas last night. Yikes. Oh, we did hit him, huh? We hit him hard. These are American missiles hitting Bandar Abbas last night. Hello, Hungry. Do you think USA will take the Kuwait attacks as a sign to escalate their strikes? Yes. Clearly, the U.S. We're seeing primary source footage from Bandar Abbas last night. I'll play it one more time. This was what the U.S. was willing to do on Iranian territory before the Kuwait strike. I'll play it one more time. Again, if this is what the U.S. was willing to do before the Kuwait strike, yes, I expect an imminent strike. I don't know when. They'll probably try to surprise them. But after the strike on Beirut, and this alone, the strike on Bandar Abbas last night, wouldn't have told me anything in a vacuum. There have been tit-for-tat or tete-a-tat strikes like that over the past few weeks. What telegraphed to me, your prescient war reporter, analyst towel, that something was very wrong was the strike on Beirut. I actually tweeted the word damn it when I saw that, because to me, reading between the lines, the strike on Beirut can only be done with President Trump's explicit permission. So he woke up after, he probably was awake when he approved the strike on Bandar Abbas. He probably heard about the strike on Kuwait, went to bed to let tempers settle, and then woke up in the morning and told Bibi that Bibi could bomb Beirut. Iran, that's like a flex. It's a subtle, indirect diplomatic flex on the Iranians. Like, oh, if you're Mr. President Trump, oh, Iranians, you told us that we can't, that Israel can't bomb Beirut. Well, you just attacked Kuwait after we bombed you, so I think I'm just going to let Netanyahu bomb Beirut. What are you going to do about it? You put the Iranians to the mat. You force Hezbollah and Iran to have a meeting where they have to game plan out what they're going to do here. Because they're in a corner. Frankly, even though Iran was the one who attacked Kuwait last, and the U.S. hasn't responded, in reality, Bibi bombing Beirut was the response. And now Iran is put to the mat. What do? You drew the red line. You said don't bomb Beirut. They bomb Beirut. If you don't respond, you've just said they have free reign and your word is nothing. That's not going to happen. I agree. It's unfortunately, it's called a Thucydides trap. It's an escalatory trap that I think the U.S. and Iran want to avoid, but that Israel, under Bibi, is marching headlong into for selfish reasons. Specifically Benjamin Netanyahu's selfish reasons. That's my analysis. So that was the footage last night from Bandar Abbas. Let me show you the latest analysis from Zena Kador about the situation in Lebanon. Zena Kador is a dear colleague and someone who I think is the most informed, erudite perspective on southern Lebanon. But of course, Courtney Boneo, who we will also take a listen to some reporting from this morning, and Heidi Petter, also dear colleagues who I consider highly informed and erudite on-the-ground sources, some of the only English language reporters in southern Lebanon. God bless and may God bless and protect all of them. Let's take a listen. Just a short clip from Zena Kador's report overnight from southern Lebanon, just at the start of the escalating Israeli strikes on Sur, Sidon, Nabatayeth, and elsewhere.
In Lebanon. Yes, the Israeli army has ordered people in the entire southern region of Lebanon to leave their homes or risk being attacked by its forces. The order included the city of Tyre, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. For more on this, Zaina Hodder joins us live by phone from the Lebanese capital of Beirut. So Zaina, just give us an update on the latest situation in Tyre.
It's been strike after strike in the city of Tyre since the early evening of Wednesday. The city is under constant bombardment, massive explosions, widespread damage. The Israeli army is saying it is hitting Hezbollah infrastructure, but residential neighborhoods are being targeted, buildings leveled to the ground. Tyre is a city where, and its surrounding areas, is a city where tens of thousands of people were seeking shelter, people displaced from other areas in the south of the country. Many of them made their way out of the city yesterday when the Israeli army issued that forced displacement order, not just for the entire city of Tyre, its surrounding areas, but the whole area south of the Litani River. Many people returned to their homes after the so-called ceasefire came into force in mid-April. I say so-called because in the south of the country, it was just ink on paper. It remained very much an active war zone. But what we've seen over the past 3 or 4 days is that really some of the heaviest bombardment, Israeli bombardment yet across southern Lebanon since this latest confrontation began in early March. It's being seen as Israel's response to its inability to deal with the threat coming from Hezbollah's explosive drones, something Israeli officials, the Israeli media, military officials have acknowledged. It is a very big predicament for the Israeli military. In fact, a short while ago, the Israeli army announced the death of yet another soldier. Now, while these drones will, make it a costly operation for the Israeli army to stay in southern Lebanon, they, of course, as we can see, are unable to stop the bombardment and to stop the war.
And Zaina, of course, it's not only Tyre that's being targeted, attacks are happening elsewhere too.
Yes, the Israeli military used heavy firepower on Wednesday in the Nabatiyeh area. Israeli airstrikes, artillery shelling, near continuous artillery shelling. They also issued a forced displacement order for the whole entire city of Nabatiyeh and surrounding areas. It's strategic high ground for the Israeli military, and it seems that the Israeli military is reaching some of those areas as ground troops. They are now operating outside their so-called yellow line, the area, the dozens of villages that they occupy close to the border. So it appears that they're also trying to push deeper. They say this is about eliminating the threat coming from drone operators, but like I mentioned, it is not clear how all this bombardment is going to stop those drone attacks, but they're hoping, and we've seen this strategy in the past, this disproportionate use of force puts pressure on Hezbollah to stop those attacks, all the while civilians are trapped in a war zone, with the International Committee of the Red Cross saying that the ongoing hostilities across southern Lebanon are creating conditions which are just untenable for civilians, and especially the thousands and the thousands of numbers, but the people who fled their homes yesterday, whoever was left to the Litani, and many people are still there, where do they go? Already the Lebanese government has been struggling to deal with the hundreds of thousands of people who have been displaced since early March.
All right, Zaina, thanks for that update.
Zena Kador there. Excellent update from the south of Lebanon, although she was reporting from the Lebanese capital. I will get you more from Zena Kador as we go through the next hour of updates. Petty LaBelle, it's so good to see you, my friend. Let me show you what happened. You heard Zena Kador describing the continuous raids on the oldest inhabited and occupied city on earth, Tyre, or Tyre is the English name. Sur is the city's name in Arabic. It's the same city. If you ever hear someone say Sur or Tyre, it's the same city. Let's take a look at it now. This is one of the violent bombing raids on the ancient city of Sur last night by Israel. Almost shocking scenes out of Sur last night. I'll take you to a few more updates. It's almost impossible to show the scope of the damage last night. I'll show you an attack last night. It's almost impossible to show you the scope of the damage across Lebanon, but I would be not only remiss, I would be derelict if I did not show you the raid in the middle of Gaza last night on a civilian home as well. This was about 7 hours ago. This is Gaza in the south of Palestine. Flower, it was a residential block in Sur. I do not know if any hospitals were hit. I will find out for you. This footage is Gaza last night. Heartbreaking scenes from Gaza. Not even combatants. The Palestinians are not even involved in this war, and they are still being bombed constantly. As I mentioned, the city of Sidon, the city of Sur, both attacked extensively overnight by Israeli forces. Bandar al-Abbas bombed by the Americans, then Kuwait attacked by the Iranians. Hezbollah continuing to respond to the attacks on civilians in Lebanon with drone and rocket attacks on the north of Israel. Perhaps, Flower, perhaps. I wouldn't be surprised. With the Georgia Guidestones and all that stuff, I believe they do want a lot of us gone. Which is a shame because we have more than enough plentiful resources to feed all the people on the earth. Let's take a look. Speaking of Sur or Tyre, you saw some of the reporting about the bombing overnight. Let's take a look at the result, the devastating result. I showed you Nabatayat. This is now Sur, the result of last night's bombings by Israel. Fire's still burning. The scale of that destruction is heartbreaking. Hello, Nanya. Good to see you. This is Sur this morning. That was the city of Sur this morning. Fire's still burning as the ancient city of Sur was attacked. It is heartbreaking, the pictures coming out of Lebanon this morning. I'll show you now. Alerts! Somebody tell Silent Dogs. Alerts! What is it? We have 2 drones incoming to the north. You have probably like 10 seconds. If you're there, there's no way to do early alerts on these. In Marjaliat, What you're hearing in the background is 2 separate drone alerts right now, incoming. I told you, it's always right after the top of the hour. Hezbollah does their launches always after the top of the hour. They're very consistent. They start they're like set on a time. They like ask, I don't know what they do. I don't know their internals, but they definitely have an ebb and flow to their attacks. So Hezbollah just launched 2 more drones. That's what you're hearing now. Now, there will be more retaliation from as to that strike on Beirut. The drones that were just launched are not that retaliation. Marja Liad is right on the border up in the north of Israel. It's to the west of Kiryat Shimona. This is a very common, so if you see alerts like Metula, Kiryat Shimona, along the north here, like Shatula, even near Ratanya, Odovev, Avamin, all of those are right on what are called the conflict line. Their alerts there are common, but the pace of the alerts there does give you information. What you are looking for, I'm telling you, there will be a response from Hezbollah to that bombing in Beirut. It will be most likely either here in Haifa. It could be in Neratanya, although that's unlikely. Haifa is the more populous center in the north. But Hezbollah does have the capacity to reach Tel Aviv. They have before. They do have the capacity to reach Tel Aviv with their missiles. But that's what you're looking for. That will tell you that there has been a response to the bombing in Beirut. The 67 borders would be a little bit, so right now, it's kind of complicated because internationally, the 67 borders are already recognized. So according to the international community, the 67 border, you see the dotted line? So the difference between a dotted line and a solid line on a map, you see behind my head here, you see how this line is solid? This line between Israel and Lebanon is solid. Black solid lines on a map are agreed upon lines of border lines between countries. This, you see the dotted line? That, if you ever see that on a map, that means contested. It's the internationally recognized border of Palestine, but Israel is occupying it, so it's not considered a firm border. Per Israel's view, they would lose territory. Per the international community's view, they wouldn't lose any territory because they're illegally occupying the land inside these dotted lines. Now, there's also this area up here, which is the contested Golan Heights. You see how it's also drawn with a lot of dotted lines? So this is the Golan Heights. This is also contested. This really belongs to Syria, but Israel took it after a war. So Israel took the Golan Heights, and they took this area from Jordan. They took the Golan Heights from Syria. They took this area, including Jerusalem, from Jordan. And then they took the Sinai. But Egypt took back the Sinai at one point. All right. So all you're really dealing with is this area. Like, the Palestinian state would be down here, got the West Bank, and Gaza, and then, it would be down here in Gaza, and then it would be the West Bank, and then it would also be parts of Jerusalem, and then south of Jerusalem and north of Jerusalem, and then this territory up here would go back to Syria. So that's what the 67 borders would be. It's like at one point the debate was between whether Israel was going to exist or not exist. Now the debate is, should there be the 67 borders or like what we have now? That's really preferable. If Benjamin Netanyahu did anything positive, he at least shifted the debate for the state of Israel. They're going to be recognized now just because he was such a jerk. They're going to be recognized by the Arab world. And frankly, the Arab world would probably be pleased with the 67 borders, which 40 years ago, listen, the Arab world is just coming around to the idea that they can coexist with Israel. It took a very long time. But if Israel can just agree to the 67 borders, we can have peace. We're never going to get there, not with this government in Israel. But that's the key to unlocking peace in the whole region. The only reason everyone is so mad is because Israel continues to torment the Palestinians. The root of this is Israeli territorial expansionism, in particular its treatment, which is frankly akin to colonialism, the worst form of colonialism in Gaza of the Palestinians. Jerusalem too, and the West Bank. But it's just created the situation where until that agreement, the 67 borders, is enforced by the international community, there will never be peace in this region. We might get a tenuous peace, but there will never be permanent peace until the 67 borders are enforced. It's the reason why the resistance movements all exist. Every single one of them. But yes, thank you for that excellent question. Going back to our update, so we were talking a little bit about what that recent drone alert meant up here to the west of Kiryat Shimona. What we're looking for as a sort of concerning sign, we're always analyzing developments from the perspective of what's happening, what's going to happen, etc. What we're looking for is any attacks near Tanya, we can put it on the line, but anything in Haifa, anything in Tel Aviv, immediate concern. Nanya, I don't think so. Islam is not a monolith, just like Christianity is not a monolith. Islam has a bunch of factions. The primary overlap, I would argue, is Islam and Christianity. Both revere Jesus. In fact, an entire book of the Holy Quran is about the Virgin Mother. How do I know? I read it. Our wonderful Muslim brothers and sisters talked me through being able to read the Holy Quran on screen. We read it. I learned all about the Pharaoh. He was a bad man. But anyway, my point is, I don't see Islam as a problem. In fact, I would argue that Islam probably is more inclined to defend Jesus than even some people in the West these days. So, no, I do think there are some extremist sects of Islam, just like there are extremist sects of any religion, that are very problematic. But that's not the predominant, I think, cultural ethos of the Islamic world. I think the Islamic world is actually pretty wonderful. They tend to be great. They're very educated. They know a lot about scripture, their holy books. They know a lot about history. They have really good food. I don't see the Islamic world as a problem at all. No. Hi, Sarah, be creative. Yes, Standing Stones. I also don't see any religion per se as the problem. It's the extremist elements, or oftentimes the secular elements within government that appropriate the language or name of religion to achieve their own ends at the expense of the polity they claim to represent. That's what I see as the problem. Listen, Adam, I don't think any religion is ever going to be eradicated. Religion is just a belief. There are governments that maybe appropriate religion in a way that is detrimental to world peace that will ebb and flow, but religions are pretty constant. Once they come around, we still have the pagan cults. I'm sure there are the Baal worshippers out there. Epstein's bank, his account was named Baal. You got those Canaanites and the Babylonians and, all these weird, different, pre-Abrahamic cults that are still around. They just pretend like they're not around because they think we'll, try to get rid of them. You can't get rid of religion. Even China. China uses internment camps to try to get rid of Islam. Did that work? No. Just made the world think that the Communist Party was, exactly what Kessler wrote about in Darkness at Noon. So... Hi, Wayne. Good to see you. Nanya, it is entirely okay. You're still welcome here, my dear friend. You're wonderful, Nanya. You can believe whatever you want. There's no proselytizing in Towel Land. You can just believe what you want. I'm very tolerant. As long as you're not, hurting kids or hurting animals or, doing evil things, generally I'm gonna welcome you. We Witchy Wash, my dear friend, taught me all about paganism and worship of the trees and nature. I personally don't ascribe to those beliefs, but you want to be a tree-worshipping pagan? I'm all about it. Go ahead, you do you. If that brings you, spiritual harmony and happiness, I'm not going to stop you. It's the Baal worship I have a little bit of problem with, but that's because they, if they were just worshipping Baal and not, impacting the temporal world or hurting children or sacrificing people or doing weird things with owls or, sigils or grimoires and all that stuff, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it. I wouldn't like it. I would try to exclude it from the public sphere, but I'd be you can do that, in your home. You don't need to be telling people about your devil worship. But the fact that they try to impact the temporal world through political power makes me really mad, because I care about the integrity of the justice system, in particular tripartite systems of justice that involve regulatory apparatus and courts and legislative bodies. You mess with the integrity of that process, I'm going to be really mad. and you hurt children, I'm going to be really mad, or the animals, I'm going to be really mad. And let's just say that those Epstein freaks were doing all of those things, and they made me very mad. And it wasn't just Epstein, it was the intelligence agencies, it was the people in government who were enabling him, it was the people in the DOJ he was working with, it was the local cops, the state cops, it was all of them. I'm going to get the names, I'm going to find them, I'm going to expose them. I already called the Congress. Don't even get me started, I get all mad. And Fallon's like, I'm down with worshipping the trees. Absolutely, and I'll introduce you to my friend Witchy Wash. She loves the trees. All right, taking you back to now Tibnan. This is in Lebanon earlier today. Sorry, that was your mental decompression break. Oh, I believe that translator towel. They're all in on it. This is Tibnan. Looks like an Israeli shell or bomb hit right behind a mosque, frankly. That looks like a mosque. It's 9:15 a.m., by the way. Good morning. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. If you're tuning in for coverage of the Cannabis Control Commission hearing, that's at 10 a.m. Eastern, so 45 minutes from now. I'm not guaranteeing you we're going to get to watch all of it. I reserve the right to play that at 2x speed, but I kind of have to watch it to know when it ends. But needless to say, I reserve the right to not broadcast a whole CCC hearing. It is the first meeting with new commissioners, so I got to see how the new chair talks, etc., etc. I think his name is Harding. I must find out more information. Christopher Harding. He used to be the revenue commissioner. It's a Massachusetts regulatory body. So just be aware at 10 o'clock, I'm going to cover that. However, I reserve the right to interrupt that with major developments and bombings that might be occurring because I have to prioritize things. And in context, although I am very concerned about the integrity of the regulatory apparatus under 94 MGL 94G and I, and also 935 CMR 500.000 and 935 CMR 500.001. There is sort of a, importance that comes along with, people being bombed. And as much as I love the regulatory apparatus in my state, I understand my duty to the wider world. So you will pray my indulgence for just a few minutes so we can watch the government talk about weed. And, it's a government hearing. What do you want me to do? We pay tax dollars for it. They broadcast it. I have a right to cover it. It's the government sitting around. There's hundreds of people. All they do all day is talk about weed. It's generated $9 billion in revenue in 7 years for the state. It's generated $2.7 billion in tax revenue in a state that had a $500 billion budget gap going into that initial assessment for the first tax year. Oh, you don't understand. I put a dedicated levy on the excise tax. I went to the lawmakers with some people. We put a dedicated levy on the excise tax. 15% every year goes to the Executive Office of Economic Development for the purposes of 0% grants for locally owned mom and pop companies to enter the industry, and they're between $50,000 and $500,000 depending on where you are in the application process. I'm a towel. How about them apples? Look how efficient I am. Just let me loose in government and let me do things. I'm a genius. You're all geniuses too. Thank you for tuning in. But yes, that, I love all of that stuff. It's all very important to me. But I do have to remember, despite my very, very intense passion having covered this agency for 5 years and broadcast every hearing they've ever had, that there are important things occurring in the world. Context, Good morning or evening, Neo Mortal Girl. To summarize it for you, which is a good thing to do at 9:15 a.m. here in Boston, East Coast time, which would make it 3:15 p.m. in South Africa, 4:15 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 4:45 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Last night, Israel issued a mandatory evacuation order for all towns in southern Lebanon south of the Zerahani River. Then Israel proceeded to nearly level or raise the ancient city of Tyre, or Sur in the Arabic, and Nabatayeth. Then, about an hour or two after that, so we're talking about 10:15 p.m. last night, so about 10, 11 hours ago at this point, about 5 a.m. local time in the Strait of Hormuz near Iran, America tried to use stealth tactics by turning off transponders on ships in the Strait of Hormuz to break the Iranian blockade. Well, the IRGC is firmly in control of the Strait of Hormuz and proceeded to bomb the ship, the commercial ship that was going through the Strait of Hormuz under American escort. After 5 rounds of drones were fired at the ship, a 6th drone was detected being launched from Bandar Abbas in southern Iran. America used its warplanes to bomb Iran to stop the launch of the 6th drone at the ship. In response, about 4 hours later, Iran bombed the American base in Kuwait that was used to launch the attack on Bandar Abbas. Then, 4 hours later, Israel bombed Beirut for the first time during the ceasefire. And that's where we're at. There is complete chaos. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I'm your war reporter towel, and I am deeply concerned. And I just wanted to, all I wanted to do was wake up, cover the government regulatory hearing, talk about the OIG letter that I can't find on the OIG website anymore, rant a little bit about regulatory codification, corruption, abuse of female staff members, cover-ups, etc., federal investigations, etc., 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 etc. But no, the world has been enveloped in chaos, and I'm concerned about the goats. Hello, Derek. I am still here, Neo-Mortal Girl. I am still here, and I will now show you more. I showed you some footage from the ancient city of Sur. I'll show you more footage now. I showed you this clip earlier. This is Sur this morning. The oldest continuously occupied city on Earth. Good morning, Ozark Ridge Raiser. We have a number of concerning developments. Someone asked, by the way, if Benjamin Netanyahu was alive. He's speaking this morning. I have it translated to English for you now. Here's Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, who I would call a madman, talking about what his forces have been doing overnight. He's speaking now.
כוחותינו חצו את הליטני, למען הלוחמים הגיבורים שלנו, ואנחנו מכים בהם ונכה בהם חזק מאוד. יש לנו גם את איום הרחפנים, גם על זה אנחנו עומדים וגם את זה נפתור. אבל אנחנו יודעים שהמאבק נמשך. לכן אין לו סוף, אלא אם כן אתה נכנע. אלא אם כן אנחנו נעלם, אז יהיה לזה סוף. אגב, היום עכשיו תקפנו בביירות. אנחנו בצור אתמול, ואנחנו, כוחותינו חצו את הליטני, הם למעלה הלוחמים הגיבורים שלנו, ואנחנו מכים בהם ונכה בהם חזק מאוד. יש לנו גם את איום הרחפנים, גם על זה אנחנו עומדים וגם את זה נפתור. אבל אנחנו יודעים שהמאבק נמשך. לכן אין לו סוף, אלא אם כן אתה נכנע. אלא אם כן אנחנו נעלם, אז יהיה לזה סוף. אגב, היום עכשיו תקפנו בביירות, ותקפנו בצור אתמול, ואנחנו, כוחותינו חצו את הליטני, גם למעלה...
I truly believe he's a madman. I truly believe he's a madman. He's trying to use military force to march north into the occupied areas of, into the civilian areas of Lebanon. Let's take a look at the latest footage from the Sidon now in South Lebanon, just coming in. The result of the attacks. This is just one of a number of cities that were nearly razed to the ground by Israeli bombing in Lebanon last night. This is Sidon.
هذا هو المشهد في مدينة صيدا في حي قياعة الواقع في شرق مدينة صيدا تقريبا، حيث قامت الطائرات الحربية الإسرائيلية باستهداف هذا المبنى المكون من 5 طبقات. تم تدمير الطبقة الأرضية والطبقة الأولى لشقتين في هذا المبنى. طبعا كل هذا يجري في ظل تصعيد إسرائيلي كبير، إن كان في مدينة النبطية ومحيطها وقضائها والقرى والبلدات المحيطة بها، بالإضافة إلى مدينة سور التي لا زالت الطائرات الحربية تشن غارات عليها. طبعا نحن ننتظر ماذا ستؤول إليه الأمور يوم غد في الاجتماعات ما بين والمفاوضات ما بين الوفدين اللبناني والإسرائيلي في وزارة الحرب الأمريكية البنتاغون ليبنى على شيء مقتضاه. كان معكم أحمد محمد، سبوتنيك عربي، غرب لبنان، صيدا.
الحمد لله ما تضررش.
أي ساعة صارت القصة؟
صارت في تنتين، الساعة تنتين. ضربة صارت شي ثلاثة هون، ونزل الصاروخ من فوق من سقف السطح، نزل لتحت. كان في عالم كثير الحمد لله، بس شوية إنجاز. أجل صافي لهون دوري، وقول الحمد لله قضت فرد سلامة رعبة ورعبة.
يعني متوقع انه يضربوا وين ما كان العدو الاسرائيلي، يضربوا وين ما كان، يعني بما في ذلك صيدا وغير صيدا. يعني كل المناطق اللبنانيه معرضه للاستهداف من قبل العدو الاسرائيلي، خصوصا انه عم بيصعد هلا عدوانه وعم بيحاول يتقدم مع اكثر من محور، من نبطيه ومن سور وحتى من المنطقه الشرقيه ايضا. هذا جزء من مشروعه تحت عنوان وادعاء انه هو يعني حمايه امن المستوطنات، وكلنا بنعرف انه للعدو الاسرائيلي اطماع في لبنان، في مياه لبنان، في موارد لبنان، وعم يرتكب كل اشكال الجرائم بحق اللبنانيين كما فعل في غزه بحق الشعب الفلسطيني، ولا زال يعني يقوم بعدوان متواصل. يعني نحن عم نشوف هلا غزه اكثر من نصها محتل، والنص الثاني مدمر ومجوع بنفس الوقت. يعني هذه ممارسات لا إنسانية يعاقب عليها القانون الدولي، ومع الأسف يعني مش عم نشوف هيدا الشيء من الدول تعمل نوع من الردع، وخصوصا من دول عربية. مش عم نشوف انه عم تاخد اجراءات ردعية لهذا العدوان المتواصل ضد الشعبين اللبناني والفلسطيني. والشعب اللبناني اذا بده يواجه ولازم يواجه بوحدته، لابد من الوحدة الوطنية لمواجهة العدوان والتحديات والمخاطر.
Just heartbreaking scenes. I mean, just Lavender and Rose, you're exactly right. The scenes of just utter devastation. The world. It's why I got frustrated with the bombing of Kiev the other day. It's why I get frustrated. People are living in a very cozy bubble, which is not their fault, especially my fellow Americans. There's a lot of happy talk on the news, a lot of obfuscation. Translator Tal lets us know that in the previous clip, the reporter was listing the cities for evacuation. He notes that war crimes by Israel has caused the civilian population in southern Lebanon to be cut off from water resources in certain areas. And the reporter said that the man being interviewed said that what they're doing to the civilians in southern Lebanon is just like what Israel did to the civilians in Gaza. Slinky Socks, it's so good to see you. God bless you. We had quite a night. There was a lot of developments, but God bless you. It's so good to see you, my friend. I hope you've been well. I am monitoring signs of escalation both in the Strait of Hormuz, in southern Lebanon, and in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Let us take a listen now to a report from Trey Yingst just over an hour ago, just a short clip on Fox News about the overnight developments that were just mentioned.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. An exchange of fire overnight after Iran launched drones toward a commercial vessel attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says at least 5 one-way attack drones were spotted and then shot down in this area. A U.S. strike was then conducted against a control station near the city of Bandar Abbas that was about to launch another drone. In response, the Iranians launched a drone and ballistic missile attack against Kuwait, targeting a U.S. base there, according to Iran's IRG CCC. The Kuwaitis confirmed an attack on their territory that triggered sirens and alerts. CENTCOM released a statement saying U.S. Central Command and regional partners remain vigilant and measured as we continue to defend our forces and interests from unjustified Iranian aggression. The exchange of fire comes amid efforts to reach a deal between the United States and Iran. President Trump spoke from the White House on Wednesday, saying he would only accept a great deal and that he would not be comfortable with Iran exporting their highly enriched uranium to China or Russia.
Iran is very much intent. They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job.
We're also tracking developments in the conflict between Israel and Iran's largest proxy, Hezbollah. The IDF launched a series of heavy strikes overnight, targeting the southern city of Tyre and further north in Sidon. After evacuation orders were given, at least 8 people were killed overnight.
In this strike, I feel for the people who left their homes and livelihoods and came seeking shelter. This building that was hit had 6 apartments occupied by poor families who had fled from the south to escape the attacks there, only to be hit here.
The IDF says they carried out a targeted assassination in the Lebanese capital of Beirut just about 2 hours ago. And as we were speaking, guys, you could hear Israeli fighter jets over the skies of Tel Aviv, an indication there may be another bombing campaign against southern Lebanon in the minutes ahead.
Oh, God. That was the latest from Trey Yingst. Okay. I'm concerned. I have that feeling. I have that feeling. It's not a good feeling. It is a very unpleasant feeling. We will monitor today. We'll watch the regulatory hearing for a few minutes. I got to go to a press conference after that. But I'm concerned. I have my towel alert level is high. Oh, God bless you, Slinky Socks. I entirely understand. And you come by anytime. You can always send me an email, grantsmithellis@gmail.com, if you ever want to stay in touch. I'm not the best at responding to my email, but I assure you, everyone who sends me an email, I read them. I enjoy reading them. And then sometime, when I get eventually some downtime, I will respond to them all. God bless all of you. Muhammad, my dear brother, how are you doing? Listen, Muhammad, I am right there with you. I'm not saying this from the perspective of what I support or don't support, but as an analyst, if Iran is going to draw a red line in the name of protecting the civilians in Beirut in particular, but really throughout Lebanon, they can't just not uphold it, or this madman not Trey Yingst, the madman in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, Bibi, with Ben Gavir in his ear telling him to pop champagne and bomb civilians. I'm being sarcastic, but only because Ben Gavir actually did pop champagne in celebration of a law that would kill Palestinians. It sounds unreal as a sentence until you realize that actually happened. The point is, I do believe fully that the Americans are not going to hold Bibi accountable, neither are the Europeans, and neither are the Gulf countries. So, I don't know. I don't think today is going to be pleasant. I don't think tomorrow is going to be pleasant, barring some miracle. I think we're in a very bad position. And it's because, specifically, of the IDF's, Benjamin Netanyahu, frankly's, actions in southern Lebanon and Beirut. And then also the Americans bombing Bandar Abbas. And trying to sneak through the Strait of Hormuz without permission. I'm going to show you more from Nabatayeth this morning. I showed you what happened to Nabatayeth overnight. This is this morning in South Lebanon, 1 hour ago. Nabatayeth, 1 hour ago. If you're wondering, we have a very dangerous situation here, and I'm just waiting. I know it's coming. I'm just waiting for the Iranian response. Now to the Western Bekaa, southern Lebanon. The Western Bekaa 1 hour ago was also struck at the same time. The Western Bekaa. I don't see a way out from this, ladies and gentlemen. Here was the statement from U.S. CENTCOM regarding the overnight developments, the full statement. Go ahead, British reporter Towell.
Conversation. Translated from Arabic. At exactly 10:17 p.m. on May 27th, Eastern United States time, Iran launched a ballistic missile toward Kuwait, which was successfully intercepted by Kuwaiti forces. This flagrant violation of the ceasefire by the Iranian regime came hours after Iranian forces launched 5 one-way attack drones, posing a clear threat within the Strait of Hormuz and its surroundings. US forces succeeded in intercepting all those drones, as well as thwarting an attempt to launch a 6th from an Iranian ground control site in Bandar Abbas. US Central Command and its regional partners continue to maintain vigilance and exercise restraint, while we press forward in defending our forces and interests in the face of unjustified Iranian aggression.
Load up. Here it is. Here's the latest statement from the UNIFIL. Give me 1 second. Frame drop. We're back. Sorry for that frame drop. This is the latest from the UNIFIL in Lebanon. Okay, go ahead please, Reporter Towel, British Reporter Towel.
Conversation. UNIFIL is deeply concerned by the recent escalation in South Lebanon. Ongoing conflict is causing deaths, injuries, and widespread destruction. The situation is further undermining stability in the area. Civilians continue to bear the heaviest impact. Hundreds of thousands have been forced to flee their homes, often at very short notice. Damage to homes, roads, and essential infrastructure is severely affecting daily life and recovery efforts. Peacekeepers remain on the ground, monitoring and reporting to the Security Council. Wednesday saw approximately 670 projectiles fired, the highest level since the 17th of April. We continue to engage with the parties to help reduce tensions and remind them of their obligations under Res. 1701. Discover more. Sourced from support to families displaced from South Lebanon, now living in areas inside and outside UNIFIL's area of operations, continues as they still face urgent daily needs. Today, in Seda, UNIFIL helped deliver food to families who are currently living outside collective shelters.
Oh, sorry. So, as you see, that was actually further statements, but that was the full statement from the UNIFIL. Oh, why did that... I meant to type Kofi, not coffee. Hello, Kofi Towel. Hello, Bunny Towel Mom. Hello, Bo. Why does it keep translating into Japanese? What? Hello. For some reason, it translated my hi Kofi into Japanese because I put a star in front of it. That's really cool. I guess it's a keyboard shortcut. You can just type in Japanese if you put star Kofi on my keyboard. Okay, I'm going to start typing in Japanese more. I have no idea how to speak Japanese, you know. But I'd like to learn one day. It's a very complex language. I don't foresee that happening. Let's take a listen to the statement from Kuwait regarding the attack this morning by the Iranians, translated into English.
Conversation. Statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thursday, the 28th of May 2026. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs expresses the state of Kuwait's strongest condemnation and denunciation of the criminal Iranian attacks that targeted the territory of the state of Kuwait with missiles and drones. In a dangerous escalation and flagrant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Kuwait, its security, and the integrity of its lands, and a direct threat to the lives of civilians and vital facilities. The Ministry affirms that this escalation comes at a time when earnest efforts are being exerted by a number of brotherly and friendly countries to reduce tensions, de-escalate, and spare the region further escalation, which amplifies the gravity of these attacks and undermines diplomatic efforts aimed at preserving regional security and stability. It demands that Iran immediately and unconditionally cease these criminal attacks, and holds it fully responsible for them, given their representation of a brazen aggression against the sovereignty of the state of Kuwait, and a grave breach of international law, the United Nations Charter, and Security Council Resolution 2817 of 2026. The Ministry emphasizes that the state of Kuwait reserves its full right to take all necessary measures to preserve its security and defend its lands and vital facilities against any aggression or threat, pursuant to its inherent right to self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of the United Nations Charter and the rules of international law.
Okay, thank you. Now, as we prepare for the top of the hour, welcome to Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I want to get you a little bit caught up on why the old CCC in Massachusetts was disbanded and why there's a new one. And then also this letter from the OIG. I can't find it on the OIG website. I'm actually in the letter. It's kind of cool. But, you know, for the benefit of various people, you know, government officials, the public, I think we should do just a quick 20-minute overview of the history of the Cannabis Control Commission in Massachusetts and what led the previous body to be dissolved despite the very important work being done by Chair Shannon O'Brien and Commissioner Kimberly Roy because of some things that were occurring internally among the staff, some things in particular in this letter that may need further investigation by the new board of the CCC, which is now 3 members instead of 5. So, yeah, let's take a listen. And you might be saying, Towel, did you prepare this to be read by British reporter Towel? Yes, so we can do it quickly. I'm a Towel. Please take it away.
June 18, 2024. Cannabis Control Commission appoint receiver for day-to-day operations. Before legislative term ends on July 31st and subsequently revised statutory. Governance structure. Dear President Spilker, Speaker Mariano, Minority Leader Tarr and Minority Leader Jones, as you're aware, numerous parties have raised concerns about the daily operation and governance of the Cannabis Control Commission, CCC. The Office of the Inspector General, OIG, conducted a limited review of the CCC's structure and determined the agency's statute lacks a clear leadership hierarchy with defined duties and responsibilities. For the past 2 years, CCC's staff, including its commissioners, have spent considerable time and money seeking to clarify roles and responsibilities. As of the date of this letter, it does not appear the CCC, on its own, is any closer to resolving these issues. At this point, I respectfully submit that there is an urgent need for the legislative leadership to take immediate action to statutorily authorize the appointment of, and appoint, a receiver with clearly delineated authority to manage the day-to-day operations of the CCC, until corrective action is enacted, and thereafter take legislative action to revisit the governance structure set forth in Chapter 55 of the Acts of 2017 to provide clear leadership at the CCC. This is no way to operate a state agency, let alone one that was responsible for bringing in approximately $322 million in tax and non-tax revenue in fiscal year 2023.1. Cannabis Control Commission, THE State of Cannabis in Massachusetts at 73, April 2024, available at http://url. 1. The Honorable Karen E. Spilker. The Honorable Ronald Mariano. The Honorable Bruce E. Tarr. The Honorable Bradley H. Jones, Jr., June 18, 2024. Page 2 of 6. Background, creation of the CCC. Chapter 334 of the Acts of 2016 established the CCC. The Act created Section 76 of Chapter 10 of the General Laws, which defines the composition and the duties of the CCC. Chapter 55 of the
We can actually skip
Acts
a little bit of this
an act
because
to ensure safe access to marijuana, amended the law with significant
it actually got updated, so the treasurer doesn't have any appointment anymore. The treasurer previously, who's Deb Goldberg, used to have appointment over this board. It was the treasurer who appointed one commissioner. The treasurer also picked the chair. The AG, Andrea Campbell, appointed one commissioner. The governor, Maura Healey, appointed one commissioner, and then the other 2 commissioners were appointed by majority vote of those 3 constitutional officers. Now it's 3 commissioners, 1 chair, 2 other commissioners, all appointed by the governor, and the executive director answers directly to the chair. All right, so let's go to the state of the CCC in 2024. Now, eventually, Shannon O'Brien was brought back, just so you understand the context. The treasurer suspended Shannon O'Brien, a court, Judge Robert B. Gordon in particular. There's a great 51-page decision from Judge Gordon in the fall of 2025, I believe it was, related to all of this. You should read it. I'm in that one, too. Anyway, my point is, the Suffolk Superior Court reinstated Shannon O'Brien to chair. She was there for about 8 months after her reinstatement in the fall of 2025. And then the legislature sort of overhauled the CCC in line with a lot of the recommendations from the OIG. Why am I reading this letter? One, I can't find this letter on the OIG's website anymore. I have a copy because I wrote it up. Turns out the write-up I did has 250,000 views on X. Why 250,000 people were reading my write-up of an OIG document? Okay, that's nice. I'm thrilled for you all. I'm glad you're all becoming erudite and informed and involved in the governmental regulatory oversight apparatus. Anyway, my point is, there's a lot of history that this document doesn't get up to because it was written in 2024. I'm reviewing it now because I can't find it on the OIG website anymore, and it also details a lot of the misconduct not related to the chair. I don't think the chair, Shannon O'Brien, did anything wrong, nor did any other of the people who were trying to reform the agency. It was certain members of staff within the agency who not only tried to take Shannon O'Brien out, although Judge Gordon overruled them, but also may have engaged in serious misconduct that no one ever got to investigate because Shannon O'Brien was kept out of office for like 18 months completely unjustified, in my opinion. Anyway, let's take a listen. This is the Mass OIG, Jeffrey Shapiro writing in June of 2024. I absolutely, Ranus, I absolutely agree with you. We're going to watch a little bit of a regulatory hearing in about 18 minutes, so I'm giving you a little background because it's a new set of commissioners. It's a regulatory body I follow closely, but I'm simultaneously monitoring the developments in Lebanon, in northern Israel, in Iran, in Kuwait, and throughout the region. Good to see you all. My name is Grant Smith-Ellis. Welcome to Towel News.
On September 14, 2023, Treasurer Deborah Goldberg suspended CCC Chair Shannon O'Brien. A day prior, citing Section 76 of Chapter 10, Chair O'Brien appointed CCC Commissioner Kimberly Roy to serve as acting Chair. 9 in subsequent meetings, starting with the September 18, 2023 meeting. The Commission voted to appoint CCC Commissioner Ava Calendar Concepcion as acting Chair. Meeting minutes reflect that the Commission members were not in consensus about who had the authority to appoint an acting chair, the Commission or the chair who had been placed on leave. Meeting minutes also reflect that the Commission was divided over who should hold the position of acting chair. 2. MGL Circa 10. MGLC.1. Page 3 of 6. A news report from the week of June 10, 2024, stated that during its June 13, 2024 meeting, the CCC voted to relieve the acting executive director of her day-to-day responsibilities. 10 according.
That was Deborah Hilton
The CCC's meeting packet, the Commission planned to discuss and vote whether to delegate the responsibilities held by the acting executive director to oversee the CCC's departments to each department's supervisor. As of the date of this letter, the CCC has not posted its minutes online, and the posted agenda did not give notice that the CCC would take action to completely relieve the acting executive director of her responsibilities. It is unclear what impact the planned action will have on the operations of the agency. In any event, the decentralization of management for the daily operations for an agency that has lacked clear lines of authority does not seem to be in the best interest of the agency's constituency or the people of the Commonwealth. The turmoil at the CCC long preceded the chair's suspension and the subsequent questions about who has the authority to appoint a chair and what responsibilities and authority belong to the chair, commission, and executive director. Since May 2022, the CCC has spent more than $160,000 on mediation services purportedly to draft a governance charter. The commissioners and CCC staff have been meeting with the mediator in executive session for this purpose. 11 It should be noted and understood that this so-called mediation began during the tenure of the former CCC chair and former executive director. Thus,
Sean
it
Collins,
is less than certain
Steve
that any progress
Hoffman.
that had been made is consistent with the position of the current acting leaders, or will be agreeable to any future chair, commissioners, or executive director. As of the date of this letter, the commissioners have yet to approve the new charter, publicly release a draft charter, or even release minutes from the meetings at which they have discussed a charter.
They eventually
Nor
did
has
that.
the CCC publicly provided any assurance that the charter or mediation process will be completed any time soon. Even if adopted, such a charter will not have the force of law. It will only be as strong and as binding as the Commission agrees. Given the Commission's history to date, the charter may be an expensive exercise without lasting impact. Walter Wuthman and Beth Healy, Cannabis. The problems that have plagued the CCC have roots in the CCC's enabling statute, which is unclear and self-contradictory with minimal guidance on the authority and differing responsibilities of the CCC's commissioners and staff. For instance, the statute says the chair has supervision and control over all the affairs of the Commission, 12, while the executive director is the executive and administrative head of the Commission, 13. These descriptions, in the absence of better defined authority and responsibilities, have empowered individuals in leadership roles to assert competing visions of the chairs, executive directors, and commissioners' roles. Additionally, the statute is ambiguous with respect to the Commission. In some places it apparently means the 5-member public body of commissioners, and in others it refers to the agency itself. This ambiguity has created conflicts within the CCC. Some employees interpret the statute to mean that the chair oversees the affairs of the 5-member public body, while the executive director oversees the affairs of the agency. Others believe the chair oversees both the public body and the agency. The OIG observes that this confusion among commissioners and staff has contributed to the current situation at the CCC. Urgency to appoint receiver. There is a sense of urgency to act to resolve the leadership issues at the CCC. The chair has exercised her right to a hearing on her suspension by the treasurer. The OIG does not have confidence that either the outcome of that hearing, whichever party prevails, or the adoption of a governance charter can resolve the leadership crisis at the CCC. The OIG urges the legislative leadership to take immediate action to statutorily authorize the Appointment of, and appoint, a receiver with the authority to manage the day-to-day operations of the CCC. The receiver should be expressly authorized, 1. To carry out the daily administrative functions of the CCC and, 2. To carry out said functions notwithstanding any assertion of authority by the Chair, Acting Chair, or Commissioners under Chapter 76. The OIG finds that a commission structure is not suitable for running the day-to-day operations of a state agency with as many responsibilities as the CCC. In particular, the open meeting law prohibits 2 or more commissioners from discussing matters outside of a publicly posted meeting. Point 14. Such limitations are impractical when overseeing the day-to-day operations of a large state agency. Between 2017 and 2019, commissioners delegated some 70 tasks to the executive director. Many, if not most, of these tasks could be considered as within the executive director's statutory 12. MGL Circa 10, Section 76, H. 13. MGL Circa 10, page 5 of 6, authority and responsibility. Nonetheless, the Commission has voted on a list of specific actions. This seeming conflict between the statutory language and the actions of the Commission raises questions about the Executive Director's statutory authority to run the daily operations. The legislature should make the determination by delineating the respective authority and responsibility of the Chair, Commissioners, and Executive Director.
And by the way, that's exactly what they did. So this letter doesn't go into a lot of the misconduct that led to this kerfluffle, but it exactly outlines what the legislature it adopted. So there wasn't a receiver assigned. After 2024 through 2025 and then till now, 2026, what the legislature did was take all of these recommendations. They took some of them, didn't take others. They actually had a interview with the OIG in front of the legislative body. Let me see if I can show you the interview. I was there. I went and watched the OIG testify. They took a lot of what the OIG said about what was going on. They questioned the OIG, and the OIG did very well explaining sort of the problems with this agency. Then they drafted 2 bills. They went to reconciliation. They got passed with an emergency preamble and effectuated like 30 days ago by the governor, passed into law. That's why there's a new commission today. So you won't really understand like why this is a different meeting than normal without that history. But let me just see if I can find my footage from that OIG hearing. It was pretty epic, I must say. I do remember that I went to it, and I just thought it was pretty epic. There was at least some testimony that was really good. Yeah, I have a bunch of videos here from the OIG's testimony. Let's take a listen. Let's see, not that one. What about this one? Yeah, and at one point, like, the former chair, Ava Concepcion, apparently, like, refused to cooperate with the OIG. That did not go over well. So here was the OIG testifying in front of lawmakers, recorded by me. I'm in the audience filming it.
I mean, to the level you would like and expect from a state agency. I would say no. Do you believe that cooperating with the Office of Inspector General is a duty of the Commission?
I believe that I have a statutory responsibility to carry out Chapter 12A, which includes this kind of work, and also within that statute is reporting to the legislature on findings that I do, what I believe that I have done. So I believe that it's my ability to continue to carry out my mission.
I agree with that entirely. I also agree that it's the duty of the commissioners, individually as well as together as a commission, to cooperate and to be responsive to the Office of the Inspector General. Any of the appointing authorities can remove a commissioner for substantial neglect of their duties. And when I hear that there's not clear cooperation, unambiguous, unimpeded cooperation, then that's neglecting the duty of the commission.
So you could tell lawmakers were very upset at this commission. They ended up reforming the commission because of a lot of what the OIG found. It's important context. We're going to watch the hearing for a few minutes at the top of the hour. Before we do that, I want to show you Zena Kador's latest report from southern Lebanon about the strike on Beirut that occurred within the last 2 hours.
An Israeli strike in a neighborhood in Beirut's southern suburbs. It's seen as a message from Israel that nowhere is off limits. An apartment in a residential building was hit. The target, Israel said, was a Hezbollah commander. It was the second such strike since a ceasefire announced in mid-April that largely stopped the intense bombing campaign in the capital in recent weeks. But in the south of the country, there's been no let-up in strikes, and in recent days, Israel escalated and expanded its attacks. The city of Tyre under fire. Residential neighborhoods reduced to rubble. This was home to tens of thousands of people, many of them displaced from towns and villages further south. Yet again, forced to move after the Israeli military issued a forced displacement order for the entire city on Wednesday. Hours later, the order was extended deeper to the entire area south of the Zahrani River.
They actually just extended it again. Israel just renewed a warning to Tyre or Sur 7 minutes ago, right after Zena published her report that we're watching now.
That's roughly 40 kilometers from the Israeli border, which Israel declared combat zones. Israel's attacks have been relentless in recent days. The army announced an intensification of its operations against Hezbollah, warning the group is going to pay a heavy price for its actions. Hezbollah's attack drones have been hunting down Israeli troops occupying villages in southern Lebanon. They've also targeted and killed them in northern Israel. All the while, civilians, many of whom have no place to go, are being killed, children among them, and at times entire families in a single strike. The International Committee of the Red Cross says ongoing hostilities are making life untenable for them. There's been huge destruction, too, in the southern city of Nabatieh and surrounding villages. Israeli troops are using heavy firepower as they try to advance north of the areas already occupied along the border.
Lebanese and Israeli military delegations will hold talks at the Pentagon on Friday. Military and official sources say Lebanon's government, which is not a party to the conflict, is expected to again stress the need for a ceasefire. Discussions are also expected to focus on the army's plans to monopolize control over weapons and extend the state's authority across the country. But it's not clear whether that will be enough to stop Israel's military assault.
Israeli strikes have caused death and destruction, but have failed to disarm Hezbollah. Israel wants Lebanon's army to do it, but so far, it's reluctant to do so by force. All the while, humanitarian agencies are warning the situation in the south of the country has reached a tipping point. Zena Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
And Zaina joins us now live from Beirut. Zaina, the Israelis have broadened their ground operations in Lebanon. Bring us up to speed with what's been happening.
Yes, the Israeli military is not only escalating its airstrikes, but its troops on the ground operating outside that so-called yellow line. The area south of the yellow line is dozens of villages now under the occupation of the Israeli army. So they're trying to advance further north. In one corner of southern Lebanon, in the eastern sector, Israeli troops have advanced towards the villages of Yochmor, Zautar el-Shar'iyeh. Now, why are these villages important? Because of their location. They are very close to the southern city of Nabatieh, and in that whole area there is high ground. There are hilltop positions. In fact, when the Israeli military occupied southern Lebanon for more than 2 decades, their positions, or the occupation zone, that was the line. Because when you control those hilltops, you have really a commanding view over the entire area.
Israel has suspended its relationship with the UN Secretary General.
So the Israeli military is trying to change the security situation on the ground because the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is under a lot of pressure because of Hezbollah's armed drones. Those drones are continuing to cause casualties among Israeli troops, not just in occupied southern Lebanon, but in northern Israel as well. The Israeli army announcing yet another soldier was killed this morning. So yes, they are trying to push deeper, and that's why we've seen such heavy firepower being used in that area, whether it's in the city of Nabatea or areas around Nabatea, the Ali Tahrir Hills. All these areas, there's believed where Hezbollah has underground tunnels, strategic infrastructure. So, they are broadening their push, really, if you like, in southern Lebanon. And all this pressure is about trying to achieve strategic objectives, which they haven't been able to achieve yet, which is the disarmament of Hezbollah. We heard the Israeli Foreign Ministry say in a statement this morning to the Lebanese government, instead of disarming and dismantling Hezbollah, you are dragging the country deeper into chaos. So yet another warning to the Lebanese state, 24 hours before the Lebanese and Israeli militaries are set to meet at the Pentagon in Washington.
Zaina Khadr in Beirut, thank you very much.
The latest from Zaina Khadr in Beirut. Let's take a look at the semi-official Iranian news agency's report. I don't have it translated for you yet to English, but let's take a look at the report from IRIB about last night. The report from IRIB about last night's attack.
امروز صدای چند انفجار از بندر عباس شنیده شد.
برخی از مردم شهر بندر عباس صدای انفجار رو شنیدند و مقامات رسمی استان چه کشوری و چه لشکری هنوز منشأ صدا رو تایید نکردن.
دقایقی بعد رویترز به نقل از منابع آمریکایی اعلام کرد که حمله از سوی آمریکا به یک هدف نظامی در بندر عباس بوده. ساعتی پس از آن سپاه در پاسخ به تجاوز نظامیان آمریکایی پایگاه مبدأ این عملیات رو زیر ضرب موشک‌ها و پهپادهای خود برد. مشخصاً در اطلاعیه سپاه اسمی از پایگاه مبدأ آمریکایی‌ها برده نشده، اما دقایق پیش از انتشار این اطلاعیه ارتش کویت اعلام کرد پدافند آنها در حال مقابله با موشک‌ها و پهپادهای هجومی به این کشور است. سپاه در اطلاعیه‌اش تاکید کرده هر گونه تجاوز به خاک ایران بی پاسخ نمی‌ماند. یک مقام آگاه نظامی هم گفت بامداد امروز 4 فروند کشتی بدون هماهنگی با نیروهای امنیتی تنگه هرمز قصد عبور از تنگه و ورود به خلیج فارس رو داشتند که به دلیل بی‌اعتنایی آنها به اخطارهای نیروهای مسلح ایران شلیک اخطار به سمت آنها صورت گرفت و شناورها به موقعیت قبلی خود برگشتند. در 4 روز گذشته نیروهای مسلح کشورمان یک پهپاد MQ-9 و یک پهپاد اوربیتر دشمن آمریکایی صهیونی رو در منطقه هرمزگان منهدم و همچنین سامانه‌های نیز یک F-35 و یک پهپاد RQ-4 رو رهگیری کردند که با شلیک موشک پدافند هوایی نوین سپاه سمت جنگنده F-35 فوراً این جنگنده تغییر مسیر داده و قبل از ورود به آسمان ایران فرار کرد. محمد سالار پایداری، خبرگزاری
Well, that shows you the Iranian perspective. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. We're going to get ready to watch this regulatory hearing now. It's going to take a second to load up, but it should be starting right away. Let's see if they're punctual. You can really judge a government agency by how punctual it is. Hey, they're starting on time. Let's go. This is great. New chair, starting right on time. I love everything about it. Let's go, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Chris.
I'm loving everything about it. This man does not mess around. 10 o'clock means 10 o'clock. Listen, we are starting off on the right foot here. 10 o'clock means 10 o'clock. The CCC hearing is starting. Let me make this a little bit more sort of viewable for you. You're going to come to find the actual sort of like display they put up on the screen isn't as important as the video of the commissioners talking. So what I like to do is before we even start, we can be a few minutes behind because I can play it at 1.5x speed. I like to enhance or zoom in on the commissioners so you can see them, and then I like to put that sort of below the box that shows the text they're talking about. If there's something of substance, I might kind of move this around, but for now I'm going to try to make good use of the space, and we're going to watch it like this. Alright, so that's how I want to do it. Good to see you all. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. We're going to watch a regulatory hearing. I know you're all excited. Let's begin.
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Chris Harding, and I am the new chair of the Cannabis Control Commission. First, I'd like to recognize a quorum of the commissioners. I call the May 28, 2026 meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order. This meeting is being held hybrid pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and is being recorded. Commissioner De Lovato and myself are participating in today's meeting. We're also joined by soon-to-be Commissioner Anthony Wilson to my right. All votes today will be by roll call. We have a full agenda today, but I'll generally summarize it right now. We'll be starting with opening comments from the commissioners, followed by a vote on meeting minutes. Then the executive director will present the executive director and commission staff report before we proceed to staff license recommendations. There are 12 change of ownership recommendations, 55 license renewal recommendations, 10 final license recommendations, 9 provisional license recommendations, and 2 responsible vendor training renewals. All right, I'll ask that if the commissioners wish to comment or ask a question during any part of the meeting, please raise your hand to be recognized. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Commissioner De Lovato for a quick introduction of herself.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being here today, for being engaged. Commissioner Giovanna De Lovato, happy to be here. I'm very thankful to be here. I'm eager to get to work with my fellow commissioners and the team and eager to jump into this meeting today. So pass it back.
Thank you, Commissioner. And at that, I will turn it over to soon-to-be Commissioner Anthony Wilson, who will be sworn in next week. We've invited him to be here today because clearly he is part of the team, and we're thrilled he could join us early. Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Lovato. I'm happy to join everyone today, even in just sort of a watching capacity. I'm excited for the work that we're going to be doing together, along with a tremendous staff here at the Commission, to push this industry forward in the state and make it safe, equitable, and accessible. And thank you again. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks. Just a few thoughts for myself as well. Also thrilled to be here today. Excited to be working with the 2 commissioners as well as the staff. Big thanks to the governor and lieutenant governor, the administration, as well as the legislature for taking some bold actions in order to help support the mission of the Cannabis Control Commission going forward. Exciting times as we think about the next iteration of what can be and what will be in Massachusetts. So by way of background, for those that may be interested, I've joined here recently from the Executive Office of Health and Human Services, where I served for the past 3 years. And prior to that, I also did a stint at the Massachusetts Department of Revenue as the commissioner. So interesting background, taxation, healthcare, human services, and now joining the Cannabis Control Commission. I also was involved in the very early days as a member of the CAB, the Cannabis Advisory Board, and also having to stand up all taxation when the law first went live. So I think the combination of the 3 commissioners here bring a very unique set of experiences. And again, shout out to the governor and her team for the selection process and for bringing us all to the table. Very excited. All right, with that, we're going to move into our first order, which is
very good. Very good. Everything's going well so far.
Minutes for approval. And we have 5 different.
I need to keep an eye on this, folks. By the way, I will monitor developments in Lebanon. This is going to be very quick, just a few minutes. But I need to see how they do their work. I kind of do oversight here, so I have to monitor what they do.
The first will be a motion to approve the March 18th, 2026 morning meeting minutes. And I will ask, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right. And the second packet will be a motion to approve the March 18th, 2026 afternoon meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the third packet is a motion to approve the March 26th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the fourth is a motion to approve the April 7th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And last but not least, a motion to approve the April 16th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner. And now we'll move to the Executive Director and Commission Staff report. Executive Director, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, on behalf of the entire staff, I'd like to thank our previous commissioners for their dedication to the Commonwealth and to the CCC. I'm very certain that our new chair and commissioners will find that the table has been set for a successful transition with many initiatives ready to come to fruition at the outset of your tenures, and we look forward to working with you to make significant progress for the organization and the industry this year. If we go to the next slide, thank you. Additionally, I'd like to thank the legislature for their clear approach to this recent legislation, which includes methodical prioritization of certain regulatory changes that will be coming, starting as early as next month, with a 60-day deadline on June 19th that we'll discuss as we move forward. Lastly, I'd like to thank the governor for the thoughtful appointment process of our new board. We're excited to support this board with the implementation of so many critical policy decisions that are teed up and ready for your consideration. Welcome, and we're excited to have you all. I want to give a few updates given some of the things that have happened in the last month during what was the blackout period prior to the appointment of the new commissioners. While these changes have been communicated to our new commissioners, my hope is to summarize strictly for the public at this point ahead of what will be a very busy summer. We had two groups of licensing renewals that were processed in that interim period by the executive director under delegated authority in April and May. Those lists of renewals are in the public facing packet for anybody who is viewing that online. We also had 3 bulletins that were issued and are listed here on the screen that had immediate changes when the bill, an act modernizing the Commonwealth's cannabis laws, which we'll be referring to more frequently as Chapter 65 of the Acts of 2026, which went into effect with the governor's signing on April 19th, which was a Sunday. Bulletin 1 was related to 2-ounce sales of marijuana flower and the equivalency. And there was also an associated administrative order. We do have the sales data available should anybody from the public be interested in the impact of that change that went into effect prior to one of the busiest sales of the year, which is 420. That information should be coming to open data, but if you need that earlier, you can reach out to our comms team who can provide that. The data on the overall sales from that day, but also the impact of those individuals who chose to purchase between what was the old limit of 1 ounce and the new limit of 2 ounces and the equivalent. The second bulletin was related to delivery of marijuana and marijuana products, and specifically what the municipal waiver option will be. The legislation immediately moved from a municipal opt-in via bylaws and ordinances to now an opt-out via a 2-year waiver request from municipalities. The new waiver requests will be updated on the licensing tracker as we move ahead, and I would envision that that may be one of the more sizable updates for the board at our June meeting. The third bulletin was related to the financial interest thresholds, moving from 10% threshold to a 20% threshold. But I will note for that bulletin, for the larger discussions or questions that we've had so far, the majority of those questions are actually related to the increase in license caps, which will be part of the regulatory package that you'll all be tackling starting in June. These 3 bulletins, among other specific focuses of Chapter 65, will be put forward to the board's consideration at the June 11th public meeting, when we'll have a full board available, when we have Commissioner Wilson sworn in prior to that date, and we have 3 voting members. And the chair at that point will be reviewing what the promulgation process for regulations will look like. So more to come on that. I know that there are folks who are chomping at the bit, but also understanding that our board is getting situated. 2 non-legislation related bulletins also went out during that period of time, so I just want to highlight those as well. We work with EOED, who administers the Social Equity Trust Fund, and some of the requirements that they have for changes of ownership and changes of location. We want to make sure that our processes align with theirs. So there was a memo to make sure that folks are aware of how to ensure that they are aligned with both EOED and our regulations. And then one other was related to the auditing of labeled potency. So obviously public health and safety is a major component of what.
Yeah, how about the auditing of labeled total yeast and mold testing? Now, let me be clear. It may be the executive director's prerogative during that previous 30-day period to focus on potency. But potency manipulation is only a financial and consumer protection issue. Manipulation of testing of products on the adult and medical market in the context of total yeast and mold and other contaminants is a public health issue. And I'll tell you what, I want to see an audit of the total yeast and mold results on all 3 methodologies: plating, PCR and qPCR, and microarray hybridization methodologies. And I want to know via a comprehensive audit and public data attached to labs by name whether there's been manipulation of total yeast and mold results in the context of products reaching consumers. And I want to know how many of those tests were manipulated, and I don't care about how much THC the product has in it.
What we do, consumer fraud has been a concern of how people are labeling products.
Oh, don't you get up on that consumer fraud bandwagon. I'm going to get all mad. What do you know about antitrust regulation? Consumer fraud, the public's health and safety are in danger. The workplace safety implications are horrifying. And you're talking about the amount of potency in products being mislabeled by a few percentages? It has been going on for years. That's not a public health and safety threat. We need to rank our priorities. I'm getting all mad. This is what happens when I watch regulatory hearings. Don't get me going, Mr. executive director. Don't you get on that consumer protection bandwagon if you're not going to stand up there and talk to me about how public health and safety is being impacted by the manipulation of total yeast and mold contaminants within the presence of adult medical use products. I demand answers. Put me on that board. Let me yell at them.
As it relates to THC potency and a variety of other things. So we have put that out, and that will be part of our process. We want to make sure people have a full understanding of what it is that we're looking for and our expectations. Positive feedback so far on that, but obviously we will have further updates for the board as we move ahead. Two updates as well from what will be, again, most likely given more comprehensively at your first June meeting when we're fully situated. We did have an Equity Works career fair that went off successfully on May 20th, and we will report on the metrics of that at our June meeting. But I was happy to participate on the panel and from a glance prior to us reporting out on those metrics, very well attended and well received. And then additionally, what will be beginning to be in your monthly updates, and I'm sure you'll be getting questions as you reach out to constituents shortly here, will be our social consumption working groups have continued with the implementation process of those 3 new license types that we'll be talking about, and we will begin to work in comprehensive updates on where we are for that implementation process. Lastly, one thing before I close out here, a bit of sad news, unfortunately, but also recognition for the contributions from this individual at the start of the cannabis industry is the passing of Henry Thomas III. He served on the Cannabis Advisory Board, or CAB, for 6+ years. He was an initial gubernatorial appointee as an expert in economic development strategies for under-resourced communities. He served on the market participation and research subcommittees, and obviously appreciate his efforts greatly, and he will be missed.
Very sorry to hear about the passing of Mr. Thomas III. I did not know him. The Cannabis Advisory Board is a sort of advisory board to the main CCC. May God rest his soul, and thank you to Mr. Thomas for the work that he did, Thomas III, on the Cannabis Advisory Board.
And with those updates, I will look forward to what will be obviously a very fast-paced approach as we move here, and we work in the directives from the legislature through our new board and chair. And again, from the staff, we welcome you all, and we're very happy to have you.
Thank you, Travis. Really appreciate it. And with that, I believe we are going to move into staff recommendations on licensing.
It's going to be a very quick hearing.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the Commission's licensing team for getting the applicants and licensees to a vote today.
The reason why they're having this meeting is just so people's licenses can go through the process. They're going to have their first real meeting probably later in June.
As mentioned earlier, there are 12 changes of ownership applications for consideration. Additional information is contained within the executive summaries for the Commission's review and consideration. Commission staff have reviewed the applications for compliance with applicable laws and regulations and are presenting them for the Commission's review and vote. Would you like me to go through individually?
I think we should hit those individually.
Okay. First licensee here is Charles River Remedies, LLC, doing business as Yamba Boutique. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 3 individuals and 2 entities.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if I can just get an aye for the record from you as well.
The next licensee is Urba C3 Dorchester, LLC, doing business as High Profile Times Bodega, ex Bodega. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 3 individuals and 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next licensee is Hayes of Grafton, LLC, doing business as Simplicity Dispensary. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 1 individual.
Great. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is Homegrown 617 LLC, doing business as Yamba. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 3 individuals and 2 entities.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
The next licensee is J&L Enterprises, Inc. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is Massachusetts Citizens for Social Equity, LLC, doing business as High Profile Times or ex Bodega. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 2 adult use licenses and are requesting to add 3 individuals and 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Next licensee is Northeast Select Harvest Corp, doing business as Nish. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 2 individuals.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is Nova Farms, LLC. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is Pharmacanis Massachusetts, Inc., doing business as Verilife. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is again Pharmacanis, Massachusetts, doing business as Verilife. They're seeking a change of ownership and control over 2 adult use licenses and are requesting to add 1 individual and 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
The next licensee is QPS Massachusetts Holdings, LLC, doing business as Cloud Cover. They are seeking a change of ownership and control over 2 adult use licenses.
Axios claims, despite everything going on, again, take it with a grain of salt, that the U.S. and Iran have reached a final deal pending President Trump's approval. It's a roller coaster, folks. Now, look how efficient, by the way, setting that aside, because take everything Axios says with a grain of salt. They're a little weird. And they might just be trying to manipulate the market, in my opinion. It could be just market manipulation before the stock market actually closes tomorrow. And remember, the Hajj ends kind of tomorrow. So, I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. But this government board with only 3 people is so efficient. Look how they're doing it. Bang, 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 bang. This is great. This is very efficient. I'm thrilled.
They're requesting to add 3 individuals and 1 entity.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
And the last licensee is Temesco Wellness of Massachusetts, LLC. They're seeking a change of ownership and control over 1 adult use license and 1 medical marijuana treatment center license, and are requesting to add 1 individual and 2 entities.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
So I believe we are now on to the renewal.
And this will vote as approved.
There are 48 adult use licenses and 7 medical marijuana treatment center licenses being recommended for renewal. Commission staff have reviewed the applications for compliance with applicable laws and regulations and are presenting them for the commission's review and vote.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Next, we see staff recommendations on licenses.
There are these as a group as well.
These are as a group, yes.
There are 10 final license recommendations for the commission's consideration today. Commission staff have reviewed the applications for compliance with applicable laws and regulations and are presenting them for the commission's review and vote.
Right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Next are provisions.
Provisional. Okay.
There are 9 adult use licenses for provisional consideration today.
And we'll do these individually.
Sure. Absolutely. Additional information is contained within the executive summaries for the commission's review and consideration. Commission staff have reviewed the applications for compliance with applicable laws and regulations and are presenting them for the commission's review and vote. The first applicant is Elevated Inc. The proposed location is 56 Sterling Street in Clinton. They are seeking a marijuana product manufacturer license and a tier 11, marijuana product manufacturer license. The applicant received general review.
Motion to approve.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
When you mentioned general review, what's...
So I'll answer that before the staff does. There's general review, there's expedited review, and then there's priority review. It has to do with your application status. It has to do with the type of license you're applying for. Some categories of license, because they're small businesses, get prioritized faster than others in the queue. Also, depending on whether you're a small business, a locally owned business, you can get prioritized. The way it works is there's expedited, which is the first, then there's priority, then general. The queue always moves through all expedited, then all to priority, then through general. There isn't a queue right now. There's only 9 provisional licenses. When there was like hundreds coming in at the start of the industry, this priority, expedited versus general consideration meant a lot in terms of when your application progressed through the initial stages. It's a long process, 2 years or so. However, just to get ahead of what the staff's going to tell the commissioner, what actually it's about is like the category you get assigned to during initial processing based on the type of license you're seeking and your classification based on the type of business you are. A towel.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. Sure. So when we're talking about the different types of criteria that allow an application to move through the, and I see the directors here, okay, as they go through the application process, if they have expedited review, they're able to be reviewed beforehand. I guess they jump the queue, so to speak, over general review, and then priority as well.
Well, hold on. That's a little bit different. There's pre-certification, which is something that's only available for certain license types and applicants. That occurs prior to licensure. That's the only thing that can occur prior to licensure, really, pre-certification. It's a very specific part of the regulations. But then once licensure starts, you're either, that was correct, expedited, priority, or general.
Is the highest level. So our economic empowerment applicants and our MTC people that had their MTC licenses and are now seeking another license as well.
Thank you. Just wanted a little more comments.
I never agreed with including the MTCs, the medical operators, in the priority category for adult use licenses because it was an attempt to facilitate market consolidation. But then, they got screwed on a bunch of local priority periods, which were upheld as legal under 94G3A1I, and I would know it. That was in front of Judge McCarthy Naiman, by the way, back when she was Judge McCarthy in Middlesex District Court. She got overturned on appeal. Did you know her brother's on the appellate court? Just so you all know. Anyway, Matal, she was the judge in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons matter initially that put Kelsey in jail.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The next applicant is also Elevated Inc. The proposed location is 56 Sterling Street in Clinton. They are seeking a Tier 11 indoor marijuana cultivator license. The applicant received general review.
We have a motion to approve.
I have another question. So with one of the goals for this specific license, I see the various percentages of the proposed hire. I'm just curious, how are we, perhaps this could be an ongoing question with the team, but that we dive into later. But I'm curious to know, how are we tracking that?
I missed the first part of the question.
Sorry. So with that specific license, the goal, the hiring goal, the proposed of, X amount of women, X amount of people of color, et cetera. How are we tracking?
So upon renewal, the licensee, with every yearly renewal, the licensee has to give us progress for both their diversity plan as well as their positive impact plan. So they would give us, whatever information they have to show us how they progressed, are meeting that goal, or they're not meeting that goal. If they're not meeting that goal, they're explaining why they're not meeting it.
And then the renewal can be denied if the commissioners don't feel the explanation is satisfactory.
But it's at renewal.
Okay, I'm only asking the question because I want to make sure that being able to hold or support, our operators through this. If there's ever any gap, if they haven't met their goal, us being able to be that supporter, for our operators to make sure that we're, improving their diversity plan, improving those strategies, providing various tactical and technical assistance in that type of recruiting for hire. And also making sure that we're tracking
right,
because it tells us what areas we're seeing as gaps, where can we really support and invest more time with our operators, because we want to make sure that.
And just to point out also during unannounced inspections, the investigations team will also sometimes check on the progress towards these plans.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good questions, Commissioner. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Okay. The next applicant is Hatfield Pharmacy, LLC. The proposed location is 140A North Hatfield Road in Hatfield. They are seeking a Tier 11 outdoor marijuana cultivator license. The applicant received expedited review.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The next applicant is La Roche Coach, LLC. The proposed location is 238 Demis Road, number 2 in Fitchburg. They are seeking a marijuana delivery operator license, and the applicant received expedited review.
Right, can I just say that's a great name?
Isn't it? It's fun to say.
Love to meet that. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The next applicant is Maruti Wellness Norton, LLC. The proposed location is 246 East Main Street in Norton. They are seeking a marijuana retailer license, and the applicant received expedited review.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The next applicant is Maderi Express, LLC. The proposed location is 44 Boynton Road in Holliston. They are seeking a marijuana delivery operator license, and the applicant received expedited review.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The next applicant is Sun Fusions, Inc. The proposed location is 79 North Street in Southbridge. They are seeking a marijuana product manufacturer license, and the applicant received general review.
Motion to approve. More questions?
So moved.
Okay, so that was motion. Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, so moved. Thank you.
The next applicant is Triple C's, LLC. The proposed location is 6 Renfrew Street, Unit A in Adams. They are seeking a marijuana third-party transporter license, and the applicant received expedited review.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Aye, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The last applicant is Zenith United, LLC. The proposed location is 417 Hyde Park Ave in Boston. They are seeking a marijuana retailer license, and the applicant received expedited review.
Motion.
So moved.
And second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The last item are the core curriculum training in the responsible vendor training program. Since their original certification date, they have provided instruction for 578 marijuana establishment and medical marijuana treatment center agents.
We have a motion to approve.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
For just and out of curiosity, these trainings, are there specific reports that we receive, from our RPTs?
Yes, so during renewal, they will give us information about how many trainers agents they've trained essentially, and they'll give us updates to like the curriculum effect, because we've had a lot of regulatory changes, so they obviously need to update. So they do provide that data during renewal.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Any other question? All right, motion to approve.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Last applicant is Grass Ceiling LLC, or licensee is Grass Ceiling LLC. They are seeking to be renewed for an additional 2-year certification to provide basic core curriculum training in the Responsible Vendor Training Program. Since their original certification date, they have provided instruction for 816 marijuana establishment and medical marijuana center agents.
Any questions on this one, Commissioner?
Nope.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and so moved. I believe that is the end of the licensing conversation. Right.
Thank you so much.
Quickest meeting in history,
Before we
most
wrap up,
efficient. This is government at its best. Look at how efficient this is. I agree. Listen, 3 commissioners is so much quicker. This
Just
is
mention that
great.
the next public meeting will be on June 11th, and you can see more details on the website.
Great, I'll be there.
And with that, unless there's anything I missed, Executive Director, I think I'm going to move to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I believe for folks who are hoping for all of the wonderful updates and all those things, they should look to June, but obviously it was very important to these licensees that you've reviewed that we continue to move forward. So we very much thank you for having the meeting so that those folks can get situated, and that for anybody who's looking for more from you all, that they can tune into the June 11th meeting.
Thank you, Travis. As Travis said, we're all relatively new. I was sworn in a week ago Tuesday.
You're doing a great
Commissioner
job.
Lovato was sworn in on Tuesday this week.
Yes, day 3.
Day 3.
You're both doing a great job.
Anthony, you'll be sworn in next Monday, I believe. Yes. So, yes, we did feel the sense of urgency. Glad we can have this meeting today. Very excited about June and what comes after that. Lots going on. Chapter 65, as you mentioned. All the other things, obviously, the entire social dimension and equitable dimension, all the things we'll be focused on moving forward. So excited to be working with this team here, as well as all the stakeholders outside of these walls. So thank you, everyone. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
Aye, and we are adjourned.
All right, folks, I'm gonna not do the press conference live. It's their first one. I'll let them do it just recorded. I'm gonna go to that though. I'll see you all later. Do we have peace? Who knows? That's what Axios is reporting. Barack Ravid is saying the strait would open, Iran would get some sanctions relief, the 60-day extension of the ceasefire, and further talks on the nuclear file in the months to come. Do we have peace? Will there be a World Cup? Who knows? It's 10:30 a.m. That was the quickest Cannabis Control Commission meeting in the history of government regulatory meetings. From Towel News, it's 10:30 a.m. here in Boston. It's 3:30 p.m. in South Africa. It's 4:30 in Tel Aviv, and it's 5 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Signing off to go to our press conference. God bless you all. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Maybe I'll be back with you again today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a peace deal. Who knows? Mr. President Trump has requested some time to review the deal. Maybe that's why Israel's trying to escalate in Lebanon to sabotage the final context of the agreement. And it's 7:30, Alvaro lets us know, in San Francisco. God bless you all, wherever you may be today. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and until we see each other again, I'll do Tippecanoe and Tyler too quickly. Watch this. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, skip 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is Fillmore, then Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So Polk, Taylor, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. How you like them apples? Try to do a kind act of service or kindness today. If you like what you saw today, consider a donation to Towel News. Anything you can do helps. There's a Cash App, money sign Grant Smith Ellis. There's a Venmo at Grant-E1. There's a PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. I designed this service to educate, inform, and entertain. Use a little bit of entertainment to buffer your brain from trauma during war coverage in order to educate and inform, such as to engender cogent public discourse and ward off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. God bless you to everyone who watched today. Thank you so much, Standing Stones and Alvaro and Lavender and Rose and my dear friend Tiffany Bob. And I saw Triple Bob there earlier today. Mike Johnson, Prince of Wales, all of you. God bless you. Be well. Signing off from Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you for watching. Thank you for welcoming me into your home or wherever you're viewing today. And more importantly, thank you for being you. Find more from me, youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. God bless you. Be well, and maybe we have peace. Who knows? Thank you again, and may you all be well today.